Hello, everyone. Welcome and Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Kay Yang, my amazing co-host for this New Year's broadcast. We are looking forward to spending New Year's Day with you. I hope that everyone had a great New Year's Eve last night. And I hope that if you had a little bit too much to drink, then you are cozy in your pajamas, watching this stream with us. We are so excited to be here on the fresh start of 2023, wrapping up 2022 with you. And we wanted to start the day off with a song. So Kay Yang, if you will introduce what we are about to watch.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Happy New Year. Happy 2023. I hope you are all ready for what's in store this year. We want to open up with a video of women singing outside the Scottish Parliament. Women were protesting the loss of their rights under the Gender Recognition Reform Bill. And I think that this is an appropriate way to start our day today with a moment of recognition.
Oops. I can't see the video.
You can't see it, Amy?
Yeah, when it went to full screen, I'm seeing, just play it from there.
Okay,
Sorry.
I'm gonna play it from here. That's okay. Gives everyone a chance to join us.
Politicians and their friends, they think we can be proud. Our lives and bodies will defend our roaring out loud. For women's rights are human rights, we won't let you forget. For women's rights are human rights, this isn't over yet. So peace and sisterhood are set for me tonight. For dignity, reality, we are standing side by side. For women's rights are human rights, we won't let you forget. For women's rights are human rights, this isn't over yet.
We are so proud of our Scottish sisters for fighting this appalling new GRA that was passed in their country, for standing up. We give a very special shout out as well to Elaine Miller and her amazing protest with her merkin, which is a long tradition that women have had for standing up for women. Our hearts are with you. It was devastating to see that go through. We feel for you all so much. We are going to cover what is going on there in Scotland a little bit more. We're going to ultimately today, we're going to cover a bunch of events that have happened globally this year, our successes, some of our setbacks that we have seen, and we're going to highlight some of the amazing women who have been doing amazing things. You know, there are so many of us doing this work, and we are honored to be a part of this global community and global movement. I want to say welcome to Kay Yang. I won't read out the entire, I don't have it up in front of me. I won't read out your entire bio. But Kay Yang is, of course, our favorite whistleblower, a former LGBTQIA plus activist who is now telling the truth about the gender agenda, the industry that is coming for us. She is the writer, creator, documentarian, artist behind the Deprogrammer. She is also behind Stop Female Erasure. And that is really the focus of all of our work, is to stop female erasure. Kay Yang is, of course, one of the premier, probably the premier researcher and speaker against the UN. We are going to get into the UN as well a little bit more today and talk about how they are setting the global tone and what we have to say about that. So I thank you, Kay Yang, for being here. I don't know if you want to say anything.
Thank you, Amy. Yeah, thank you for having me. I think we all know who Amy is at this point, and I just want to shout her out for consistently using her platform to lift up the voices of other women, including myself and my work and my research, and so many of you. Her allowing us to have these live streams here, providing a place for us to all come together, share our thoughts and ideas, and share a sense of community when a lot of us are in very different places, spread apart. It's nice to be able to come together and be here. And for Amy to share her platform, because it's hard work building a platform speaking about this issue. And Amy's done an incredible job with it, and as well with the Let Julie Swim protests that happened earlier this year. That's a big highlight of what went on this year. And Amy's Let Julie Swim hashtag on Twitter received over 1 million hits. So that's huge. That's massive. So the work that Amy has been doing is incredible, lifting up not just all of our voices, but elevating this topic and bringing her unique perspective and her research to the table. So I just thank you so much, Amy, for everything that you're doing. And for all of the women who have just joined in with us in the beginning, we let play about a 1.5 minute video of some women singing in resistance in front of the Scottish Parliament. I saw some women ask where that was. So that was in front of the Scottish Parliament. And I just want to, we're going to move kind of quick today because we have a lot that we want to cover. But I just want to connect it to what's happening in Scotland is connected to what's happening here. It's connected to what's happening all around the world. This is a global agenda. And the United Nations International Expert on Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity, or SOGI, Victor Madrigal-Borloo, he called on the Scottish Parliament and demanded that they pass a bill. And that bill was the Gender Recognition Reform Bill. And they wanted that passed, in his words, to end stigma against trans women. So these are the words coming from the top officials at the highest international governing bodies, the highest authorities around the world are erasing women and our rights around the world. And it's all connected. And that's part of what we're going to be delving into more today and this year in general. That's a focus that both of us want to bring to the table, is really connecting with women and building a global resistance to this agenda. I'll pass it back to you, Amy.
Yeah. So Kay Yang, I was wondering if we can start with the highlights of some of the protests, free speech events that we have seen globally. So ladies, I don't know if those of you who follow me on Twitter, I put out a tweet about 4 days ago of what was I asked everyone to share any protest, free speech event, live event that they did this year. Kay Yang is going to bring up a slide of some of those protests that we have seen. But I want to say there were hundreds and hundreds of events that happened all over the globe. So what you are going to see shortly are pictures from events in Scotland, in Canada, in the UK, in the United States, in Spain, in Germany, in Switzerland. We saw so many women organize around this issue. I want to say what is included. I actually did not include, since we spent so much time this year talking about the Let Women Speak events of Kelly J. Keene. So the events that you see here are events outside of those Let Women Speak events. Events happen in Ireland. They happen in Wales. You are seeing events to keep prison single sex. You are seeing pictures of events against gender clinics, Our Duty, in the United States. That was a great event. Canada had many Keep Prison Single Sex. The UK also had Keep Prison Single Sex events. We also saw
Amy, if I could, because I can see them bigger on my screen. If you want me to give any more details, I can do that. Or if you want
yeah. And can you, I don't know if you can, I guess I can't manipulate this. Can you scroll in on them?
No. Not from this perspective, but yes, let's do it like this.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot about, of course, in Australia did events, New Zealand had events. So these just represent a few of the hundreds of events that have gone on. And if any of you are on Twitter, I encourage you to go and look at that thread, add to it if you haven't already, but look at it, because what I feel when I saw that thread and when I see all of these pictures up here in a collage, is that there has been so much great work happening. So many women are speaking out. So to anyone who is faced with someone that says, you know, where are the women on this? Where are the feminists? What's being done about this? Why aren't more women speaking out? You know, this is what we always talk about. This is, you know, this goes exactly to the sign that Kay Yang has behind her. This is the public record of our dissent. And women spoke specifically to so many issues. There are so many targeted issues that we are looking at in this collage in front of us. Mm-hmm. Whether it is supporting individual women, incarcerated women, children, you know, all kinds of things. I did include my Let Julie Swim event as well.
Yes, there's also, you had mentioned the First Do No Harm demonstration. Yep. There were a couple of those. There was one that Gay Chapman sent in from Anaheim, California in October. Also in October, from Ava Kuralova of Redux, we have a protest in Toronto for Keep Prison Single Sex. October was apparently a busy month, because also in October, from Michelle of Women's Action Group in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, they held a Speaker's Corner event there. I believe that was the first public demonstration in Australia. Is that correct? Or the first Speaker's Corner anyway?
I think it was. I believe so. I'm looking for a link to the thread so I can put it in the chat in case anyone else wants to add in.
Yeah, great. Thank you. There was also a protest against the criminal prosecution of Christina Ellingsen in Norway. Of course, that's very important. Let's see. Germany, June 30th, in front of Norwegian embassy in solidarity with Christina Ellingsen, who faced 3 years of prison for saying men can't be women, mothers, or lesbians. So as you can see, the attack on Women's speech is happening all over the world. A tightening down of what language we are allowed to use, the criminalization of words that describe our female bodies and our female experiences. This is a criminalization of being female.
That seems crazy. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to follow that link, but that is, I hope that you can copy it out of the chat.
Let's see. They might be able to if it's on YouTube.
You can copy it out of the chat in YouTube. You know what? I'm gonna make it my pin tweet momentarily. Hold on. Let me just make it my pin tweet. That is way too hard to follow. Hold on. Okay, so now it's my pinned profile tweet. So if you go to my Twitter profile, you will see it. That was a ridiculous thread.
Let's see. I think this is an important one.
Oh yeah, you can highlight it like that.
I'll try to. It's a little
And
tedious.
one of the things I wanted to say is also right now there were a couple of different events that went on in Spain this year, which is especially incredible because now they are starting to put fines and call certain protests illegal if they include, quote, hate speech. So women are there are women who are being targeted with fines and threatened with jail for quote unquote illegal protests for standing up and standing out. So yeah, it is their work in Spain has been incredible. And I think there's some others. That one had a video, I think, but I don't have the video's not live there.
If you want to share from your Twitter, you could do that, Amy.
Okay, great. I will. That's a great idea.
And I just want to point out about the increasing censorship. Recently, some of you saw what was happening in China with the zero COVID policy lockdowns that were instituted, where people still are dealing with with these so-called policies, this extreme political repression and attack on people's liberty and ability to move freely throughout society. The censorship there has become so bad. People were protesting with blank pieces of paper, and that was their way of calling attention to the fact that they literally can't say anything and protest at all without retaliation or retribution. So this is what's coming for the rest of the world if we don't fight back and if we don't start resisting now.
So this was another event. This was in the Plaza de la Cortez demanding to stop the transgender delusion. Let me see if I can make that bigger. I mean, what an amazing and incredible turnout. Can you see that whole screen, Kat, when I'm when I'm showing that?
Yep.
Yeah, these women risk so much simply by standing up against this agenda. What an incredible, incredible turnout. I'm going to stop sharing. I stop sharing. Yeah, so I think we could talk forever and ever about these events. I do want to say these events have been very important. I think especially the targeted events that speak to specific issues. Of course, it is important for all of us to stand up and have free speech. Of course, that is important. But I think the events that, Kay Yang, your event that targeted the UN, these events that target a gender clinic, the events that target Keep Prison Single Sex, I think it has been really important to do these targeted events that get a very clear message across, especially because this is the public record of our descent. I know that you probably have a little bit more to say about why these targeted events are of such high value to us and what we are trying to accomplish in going against this agenda.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest things I think is that we are trying to break through billions of dollars worth of propaganda that is being put into making sure that the general public does not understand the extent of this agenda, how all of it connects, how dangerous it is. People do not understand that that quote, trans rights are directly in conflict with women's rights, with the rights of homosexuals, with the safety and safeguarding of our children, their health, and our future generations. So we're really, when we go out there and we are engaged in activism, whatever form that might be, whether it's you're out there placing stickers, or we're protesting at the UN, or a speaker's corner is going on, or there's a silent protest with posters in front of a gender clinic. Whenever we are doing these things, we are disrupting the dominant narrative, and we are saying no, and we're saying we are objecting to the narrative that they are trying to construct, the false narrative that they are trying to create to trap us in, to trap the minds of the public in. So the work that we're doing when we're out there physically in the world is extremely important. Amy, I don't want to just ramble because
yeah, absolutely. So let's keep moving forward. I think, I don't know what order you want to do. We want to cover some things that are happening in sports. We want to cover some things that are happening with men who are being arrested under the guise of being women. So a kind of a not our crimes issue. I want to talk a little bit about prison. So I don't know if you want to do kind of an order of operations.
Yeah, I think right now I'm going to spend just a moment shouting out some of the women in the chat. And I want to ask all of you who are listening, if there is something, any type of global protest or action that you want us to mention, put it in the chat now. Even if there's a link or photos or anything like that, we can share that on screen. And I just want to say hi to Yvette for joining us. Stone the Crone, Crumbly Duckling, Laura, yes, hello. David, thank you for being here. Leslie, of course, Zan. We've got Maria, Maria had a comment in here that was kind of, I just saw it passing. It looked like she said she was assaulted last night.
Yes. Yes. Maria spoke to me about that earlier. She was, is that what it is? Yeah, for saying that women don't have penises.
Maria says, I got sucker punched last night for saying women don't have penises in Zombie USA, Bellingham, Washington State. Knocked to the ground and no one called police or ID'd the perp. Wow, Maria, that's horrifying. I'm so sorry to hear about this. Very disturbing. If you want to come back another day, I know you said you have to leave now, but if you want to come back and share more about that experience, I think this is very important as well, that we be documenting that women are being attacked and physically assaulted all over the U.S. for speaking up around this issue.
Yeah. You know what? I think, I'm going to go to some of that right now. I think that's
Yes,
a good segue.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is, I'm going to share this. Can I make this only look at the picture, Kay Yang?
Which picture? Yeah, but you have to do it. You have to press full screen present in the top right corner.
Full screen.
It's
present.
Like a little triangle. Like
got it. Wait, full screen present. Okay.
That should work.
Okay.
and you may have to pause it so it doesn't.
Okay, great. Yeah, I am gonna pause it. Okay, good. Well, that's good. Okay, so this, first of all, a huge shout out to Redux for their reporting this year, which has been incredible. They have really taken off, and they have done a great job in documenting what is essentially not women's crimes. So we, I am so sorry for what happened to Maria, and we are seeing this sort of thing more and more with the violence that men have against women who speak out, and simply the violence of these men while claiming to be women. As you can see here, man who slaughtered family over, quote, gender dysphoria, requesting clemency for a, quote, a transgender murderer, quote unquote, non-binary queer artist, arrested after arranging to rape a 9-year-old, influencer who attacks a pregnant woman and baby, a gamer accused of having sex with a minor. I think the least dangerous, although still very dangerous, is the Department of Energy, Sam Britton, who was his second felony luggage attempt. But all of these, there are so many more, and they can also, just so everyone knows, more stories like this can also be seen on This Never Happens, the group page of Facebook. This Never Happens is a great resource documenting men doing crime while pretending to be women. And this is absolutely devastating for so many reasons. Of course, it is skewing statistics, women's statistics. It is, I'm going to try to get out of my full screen now. Oy, oy, oy. Kat, how do I get out of, I'm going to stop sharing. I don't know how to get out of my full screen.
That's okay. You can press exit on your keyboard. Okay. And yeah, I really want to echo the shout out to Redux for all of the incredible reporting and journalism that they've been doing. I mean, they are just on it.
Oh, I can do that again.
Something happens and you turn around and there's an article already from Redux about it. So they're just so on it. And I really appreciate the work that they're doing to bring attention to this issue. I've seen Redux articles shared in all kinds of different places on the internet, places that I wouldn't even have expected. I've been like, oh, wow, there's an article from Redux. So they're really getting the word out about how dangerous this issue is and the global nature of it. And they're not afraid, I've noticed, to really go at some of the topics around this issue that previously, very recently, were still considered fringe. Right. And isn't it interesting how the discourse has changed in the last couple of years? I remember when I first started speaking out on the issue, saying that pedophilia and child sexual abuse are totally intrinsic to what's going on with this agenda. There was a lot of pushback from people on that. Even women in our own spaces were pushing back on that. Like, oh no, don't connect these things. Now, a few years later, all the research that various women have done has really shown just how connected all of these things really are. These aren't fringe conspiracy theories. It's a conspiracy, but it's not our theory. You look at all of the incredible documentation that women have done to, build this dossier of information to prove that this is a real agenda that's happening, not just here in the West, but all around the world. And children are the biggest target.
Yeah, women, absolutely. And of course, the reason this is so important for us to keep track of and document, it is for our statistics. It's for, laws, our advocacy, our research. And there is so much that's not being documented. I wanted to share something with you all. This is from Amanda Stulman of Keep women's prisons single sex. She estimates that in the United States alone, there are 100 to 150 men currently housed in women's prisons that we know of. That is in the United States alone. So that does not include other countries that allow men in women's prisons. And this is very important for all of us to note. This is especially important, I think. There are over 3,000 federal and state jails. And they have a very high population and an incredible turnover. And they are not adequately staffed to manage FOIA requests. And so we do not know the number of women that are housed with men in their jails. So this is a figure that no one is currently tracking. It is very hard to track. We are not able to get freedom of information requests about this. So the number of women who are incarcerated with men in prison, it's 100 to 150. But frankly, we do not know how many women are trapped in jails simply overnight with men.
Yeah. And this is why it's so important to support organizations like Keep Prison Single Sex,
Yep.
because I know that some of the hard work that Amanda Suleman does, and she does so much stuff. I'm amazed by how much she continues to get done all the time, and things that I'm sure I don't know anything about. But one of the things that Amanda is focused on is making, and Keep Prison Single Sex as an organization, our focus on is accurate reporting for what's going on in these prisons. No one else is doing it. They are. So, again, if you're looking for organizations to do any last like end of the year donating and stuff to Keep Prison Single Sex, keep them in mind. Also, of course, Women to Women and Amy Ichikawa's organization that is all by formerly incarcerated women advocating on behalf of incarcerated women. There is no other organization like Women to Women in the entire world. So please check them out as well if you haven't yet. I know Amy Ichikawa had a really great interview that came out recently with Brandon Showalter from the Christian Post. So you can find that on their website as well.
Absolutely. Kay Yang, we want to move on to sports? Do you want to cover a little bit about, I know we have things to cover about things that we just want to highlight and briefly mention, either about Pritzker, some of the other call outs. We didn't call out the Courage Calls to Courage. I don't know if we want to do some shout outs.
Yeah, let's before I'll kind of try to do some rapid fire stuff in a second, but I do think we should talk about sports.
Great.
I'm pulling that slide up now. Okay. Thanks everyone for bearing with us. We wanted to have some visuals for you all, so we tried to take a little bit of time to get that together for you. Wish we had more time, of course, but we're doing as much as we can and the best we can. Here is a slide with some of the sports stuff. Amy, do you want to start with covering some of this?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a sampling of it's not necessarily all of the men who are in women's sports, but it is men who won women's awards this year. As you can see, these sports covered are an incredibly broad range of sports, from running to swimming, to cycling, to beach volleyball, to archery, to skateboarding, to rugby, weightlifting. What else do I see? Hockey, disc golf, all kinds of events in which men are winning women's awards. I don't. So the middle one is a there's two interesting middle ones. Both this guy with the pink bandana on who's running. That is a man from Canada, going by Tiffany, who is a women's master record holder. He just won the women's masters, and this was particularly interesting because he basically got the record after the fact of qualifying, making a qualifier in every able to be a woman. So they're winning it in all different kinds of categories. This is my point. So this is a masters category. The man right below him is an Italian runner who has won in a para Olympics category. So he competed in the Special Olympics. Kay Yang has reminded us to make a special note that we notice how these events are being reported. Most are reported as the quote, first openly transgender cyclist, the first openly transgender weightlifter, the first openly transgender runner, marathon runner. So this is what they are telling us by their own language is that they have been doing this under wraps long before it has been open. Now it is simply open, but ultimately there are hundreds of men because these are just this year's winners. There are currently hundreds of men competing as women, stealing women's awards. Mm-hmm. And one of them, also one of the most interesting, the top two on the right that are tilted. These are very fascinating because one is two men kissing as they win women's awards. So they are two men took the podium in UK cycling. They are kissing while other women stand by. And I didn't include the picture, but what is really interesting about this is that, oh, there it is. Oh, she is there. Yep. The woman who took third literally has a child. So she's a mother of a 2-year-old. While these 20-something men are kissing in front of her, having stolen her rightful place on the podium. They are really, brazen, absolutely brazen, and absolutely gloating in it. So that to me was incredibly horrific and shameless. And then the other tilted one that is right next to it is a skateboarding award.
Oh, right.
Where this person with the curly hair, Ricci, he's going by. He is basically a 30-year-old man who has stolen an award from a 13-year-old and a 16-year-old. So he's stealing these awards from children. You know, I mean, this is...
They're literally crushing the dreams of little girls.
Yeah. And I don't know if anyone saw earlier this year, but this Shiloh girl pretty much was pressured to make a video in which she, came out and said that she's okay with it. But, it doesn't matter. These young girls are very indoctrinated, and they have extreme pressure on them to go along with the flow. So I have compassion for her feeling. I mean, she's 13 years old. Of course, she is going to be much easier pressured than me, a 46-year-old woman. You cannot pressure me into going along with this farce the way that you can pressure a 13-year-old child.
I would say it's more than pressure. This is a complete dehumanization, a violation. This is abusive, what's being done to our young girls. And of course, when we look at all this propaganda and the money that is being spent, the coordinated effort throughout all of media to push this agenda, the target is not really us adults. The target are our future generations, our youth, our children are the targets for this propaganda, for this mind control. These young girls are being victimized. They're being taught a complete reversal of reality. So these are the children who the target is directly over. So no, we shouldn't see that. When Amy says she has compassion for them, that's very important. We need to remember that these kids are being hit with so many messages that none of us had to really deal with when we were growing up.
Yeah.
You know, again, when I was working at the LGBT Center back in 2012, trans children did not even exist. Not that they do exist. Of course, trans kids is a fiction. It's a marketing scheme. But the concept of trans kids didn't exist, and barely anyone even knew what the word transgender meant or had any concept of gender identity at all. Now, in just 10 years, look at the how we've been ravaged with this ideology.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah,
You know,
Amelia saying blame the cult, not the cult member.
yeah.
Yeah, especially when it's children that we're talking about. Once we become adults, we do have to have agency and take responsibility for what we're doing and the ways that we are. Not necessarily us, but generally adults need to have accountability for what they're doing and putting out into the world.
I want to make two small points. One, someone asked me the other day on the post that I made about that Tiffany runner. Why don't the women stand up and refuse to participate? Why don't these female athletes do something? And he said he doesn't. He said I don't understand why they don't do anything. I said it's very easy to understand why they don't do anything because, as we know from historic psychology testing, for example, the Milgram test, the Stanford prison test, the Ash conformity experiments. It is very easy to get people to conform. This is why, and I remind people all the time, the end of Oedipus, after Oedipus has broken every single taboo, slept with his mother, killed his father, incest, crime, killing, he has broken every social taboo. His punishment is not death, but banishment. And this is still the number one punishment. Canceling is the current banishment. It's the current social banishment, being kicked off of social media, being left out of your social groups. So this is what these young women face, and this is a very serious consequence. It's not a light consequence. So I think the better question to be asking ourselves, rather than why I don't understand why they don't do anything, is we need to be looking at the skill sets that we all have, those of us who speak out, who use our names, who use our faces, and say, how do we develop these skill sets in others? Because having the courage to speak out is a skill set. It can be developed, it can be grown. And how do we build that sense of internal resiliency so that we can give it to others?
Absolutely. And not just how do we speak about these issues. Yes, that's very important, but even more foundational is we want to remind women everywhere to start saying no and taking ownership of that no. Because that it's so important. And when one woman hears the word no, it empowers another woman to say, I can say no too. So, taking back our agency and taking back not just our voices, taking control of the research that we do, how we present ourselves, how we talk about this, but also really grounding ourselves solidly in what we're doing and knowing that no is important. Our no means so much. And in terms of what Amy was just saying about the groupthink and this issue, I have a whole episode that I did with Isabella on her podcast, Whose Body Is It?, about groupthink as it applies to the trans agenda, and also some of what we saw with the mandates during the lockdowns and the interconnectivity between those two. So if you haven't seen that video with Isabella yet, please check it out. Now we're coming up on the hour, and we're going to be having at least one special guest joining us, maybe two. And before we do that, though, I want to do just some quick recognitions of different women and their work. And of course, it's not hitting everything, but we just wanted to have a few things to throw together. This is a shorter live stream than we've done before. We were doing like 4 or 5 hours. That's not sustainable. Even though it can be fun, it is not sustainable. But really quickly, I do want to let people know, because last time we were like 4 hours into the live stream and I forgot to say anything, but I do have a sale that I'm doing on my stickers as a thank you to everyone who's been supporting my work. You can go on the website and get 15% off with the promo code, and it'll pop up on there for you. So if you forget it on here, it'll be on the website. But please keep on buying stickers, support my work, and get the message out there. It's such an easy way to be active. So a quick highlights reel. Let's see. We've got the closing of Tavistock here back in July. Now, this is important, but I think we need to be careful, because when I was reading some of the media about the closing of Tavistock, and sorry, you're going to see my sloppy notes over here. Okay, so in plain terms, the verdict against Tavistock is that its staff allowed gender ideology and experimental drugs to crowd out prudent medicine and exploratory psychotherapy that ought to be open to the full range of possible reasons for a troubled child's distress. So this is from some of the mainstream reporting, and it's kind of worrisome to me that basically what they've said is that they're going to they're closing the NHS, but they're going to be moving these decisions on what should happen with these children who are showing up with gender dysphoria and gender identity issues. It's going to be moved to localized clinics. So I have some concern about that, because I'm not sure what the oversight is going to look like for these localized clinics. How are we going to make sure that they don't fall into some of the same habits that Tavistock was, right? So that's just something to be thinking about. So it's a win, right? The closing of Tavistock is a win, but we always need to be careful where there are wins, because we know that they're still trying to find a way in to keep pushing, right? Moving on quickly, a shout out to Alex Aaron from the Gender Mapper. If you don't know, she recently did an update to the map. There are now even more markers of gender identity clinics, not just in the US, but all around the world. And she notes specifically the ones that offer gender affirming care to minors.
And that's and just so everyone knows, that's the purple.
Yeah.
And the orange do surgeries on minors.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen the updated map yet, please go check it out. Keep that link handy. It's really helpful when people try to say to you, they're not doing that to children. You'd say they're not. Well, take a look at this evidence, right? So thank you to Alex Aaron for your continued work compiling this research. It is so important. Another thank you, of course, to Jennifer Billick. She is one of my favorites. She has continuously inspired me to speak out on this issue. Particularly, I want to call your attention to her article. I think it was originally published in Tablet online outlet, The Billionaire Family Pushing Synthetic Sex Identities. And I love that terminology because it's so precise, right? So the wealthy, powerful, and sometimes very weird Pritzker cousins have set their sights on a new godlike goal, using gender ideology to remake human biology. So definitely visit Jennifer Billick's 11thhourblog.com. check out this article. She is a leading authority on all things having to do with the Pritzkers and their pushing of synthetic sex identities, but also generally documenting the biopharmaceutical industrial complex's role in promoting transgenderism and transhumanism, which is really just, they're the same thing, right? They are the same thing. So briefly, here is James Nicholas Pritzker, also known as Jennifer Pritzker. He's one of the richest openly identified transgender person in America with a net worth of 1.7 billion. Also, another extremely wealthy, openly identified transgender male in America, we have Martine Rothblatt. Forbes magazine just named him as one of 2022 America's self-made woman. So this man has made Forbes' top list of self-made women for 2022. And this isn't new for Martine. The mainstream media has often covered him in this very positive light. In 2014, New York Magazine put on the cover of their magazine, the highest paid female CEO in America used to be a man. Well, Martine used to be a man, and he is still a man. You're born a man, you die a man. You're born a woman, you die a woman. You cannot change sex. I'm preaching to the choir, I know. And then, of course, just a little mention down here. Here's the picture with Martine and Don. What's his name? Don Ennis. If you all don't know Don, he actually reports for Forbes. And we met him down in Atlanta at the NCAA protest of Leah Thomas, and I did a little interview with him. It was never published anywhere, but he said something very creepy to me. Maybe we'll share that in a future episode, but I just wanted to include that picture. And then
freaking creepy.
Yeah. And then recently, December 31st, so the last day of 2022, a reporter named Dana Kennedy from the New York Post did an expose on the Pritzker family and kind of covered their entire dynasty. And she contacted me for a couple of comments on that article. So I did contribute to that. You can go and read the article for the full quotes, but the pull quote that they used for the article is the Pritzker family exemplifies how private interests can weaponize numerous industrial complexes on a local, national, and international level. So thank you to Dana for covering the Pritzker family, and of course, all of Jennifer Billick's work on covering the Pritzkers. Moving on, a shout out to Isabella, who early in 2022 she did a interview with RT talking about the takeover of trans and gender identity, ideology, and language within the birth world. So that was an excellent interview. Of course, it got taken down later when RT was removed from YouTube, but I still have it, so I'll share it at some point on Instagram or something. And Isabella did a post recognizing the top episodes of 2022. And the number one, I believe, is Suzanne Vierling, Dr. Suzanne Forbes Vierling. Shout out if you're listening. I don't know if you are. Suzanne did an episode with Isabella called The Racist Origins of Gender Neutral Language. So important and incredibly informative interview. I've referenced it so many times. And then, of course, our own Amy Sousa, episode number 47, The Devastating Psychological Effects of Gender Ideology in Child Development. Another must-see episode. I was telling Amy I really enjoy that one because Isabella really gives her the room, gives Amy the room to really describe herself and her own work. And also Genevieve Gluck, The Dark History of Transgender Medicine, WPATH, and Child Castration. Another must watch. I'm sure everyone here has probably already listened to it or at least seen that it's there. Please share that with people. This is all peak trans material if you're still trying to peak people. And then, of course, myself with episode 49, the UN is pushing female erasure on a global scale. So thank you to Isabella and the Whose Body Is It podcast for all of the work that she has done to highlight the voices of women, not just on this issue, but all issues that affect women. Thank you very much. Another big thank you to Women's Liberation Radio News when it comes to covering women's issues. They have been fantastic. They've been all over the country highlighting women's voices. And briefly, some of you might know that Thistle was targeted for some alleged stickering that happened. There were some Turf Collective stickers that popped up in Madison, Wisconsin. Thistle was facing repercussions, and women from all over the country flocked to Madison to support Thistle and to stand in solidarity and encourage together to say that we're not scared to speak out about this issue. We won't be silenced, and we won't back down, and we won't just shut up from fear tactics and intimidation, whether it's through the legal system or otherwise. So there was an event in April at the Madison Public Library, Courage Calls to Courage. Thistle Pedersen was a speaker. She's the founder of Women's Liberation Radio News. Of course, Jessica Gonzalez, the founder of Turf Collective. Jeanette Cooper, a co-founder of PEC, and Lear Keith of Wolf, of course. So we had that, and then we also had a public speakers corner in Madison, Wisconsin. Here's just one of the amazing photos from that day. Now, this is in front of the state capitol, downtown Madison, Wisconsin. Thistle and other organizers obtained a permit so that we could be there and have that space. Of course, when we showed up there, it was occupied already by a group of trans rights activists. They were extremely hostile. They were very threatening to us. It was mostly men, of course. There were local women from Madison. There were women from the region. And then again, there were women from all over the country that converged there that day. You can see down here, I see Jeanette. I see Arla Heil. I see Haley. I see Jen Thomas over here. I see Beth Stelzer, Katie Jean. Hard to see because it's small, but a really big shout out to all the women who showed up to stand together in solidarity. That's what it looks like. Another important event that happened this year, and of course there are so many, but I think this is important because a lot of us have been following this for a long time. In November, prominent trans rights activist Dana Rivers was finally, after 6 years, found guilty of murdering a lesbian couple and their son. So yes, a lot of us followed that for years. Finally, a little bit of, I don't even know if you can call it justice. Is there justice for something so heinous? I don't know, but at least he was found guilty. And I wanted to lift up the names of the victims: Charlotte Reed, 56, Patricia Wright, 57, and their only 19-year-old son, Benny Diambu Wright. So I know we need to keep moving forward, so I won't pause for too long here, but I really wanted to include them. Okay. Please go and check out my new sticker design. It's actually the old design, but I updated it a little bit, cleaned it up for people. And this one I've gotten a lot of feedback on. It's been really good for piquing people and also kind of shocking people. And it's a whole lot and a little.
Yang, someone said that they can't get your stickers in Canada.
Okay, I'm working on that. You know, I'm just like a regular person. I'm trying to.
What? You're not like a regular person.
I don't know what to say. It's really expensive, even just to try to sell stickers. You know, it costs a lot of money just to even try to make it happen. Trying to sell on Wix is like insane. So I am working on it, but of course, anything that I do, they want to charge me. So I'm getting there, and I'm just feel lucky and grateful that there are women outside the US who want to share these designs. You can always share the digital version too, right? You can take a screenshot of it and paste it anywhere you want to on social media. I've even had women in other countries printed out, like they took the sticker that I made, printed it out on a piece of paper, and they were wheat pasting them in downtown areas. So a couple different women from Central America sent me pictures of that. So you feel free to do that too, but if you want to support my work, this is a way that you can do it. And I am doing 15% off right now. And these are some new stickers as well. I had to capture some of the posters that we used for the Let Women Speak tour in New York City, and also some of the women in Loudoun County used some of these designs. So I wanted to capture some of that momentum. Moving on, I want to give a shout out to all of the creative women out there who, I was thinking about it yesterday, and it honestly brought, like, I'm going to cry right now, because just thinking about how many women are out there dedicating so much of their time, their talent, their skill sets, and so many women are not even being seen, they're not being heard, they're not being recognized for their work. So if I haven't included you on any of these lists I'm about to show, it's not because you don't matter. Keep doing what you're doing. We're going to keep on highlighting the voices of women out there. So thank you to Reality Girl Zine for all of the creativity you bring to this. Amy Ichikawa for the realness that you bring. There is nobody that is doing it like you. Jennifer Thomas, thank you for everything that you have done. Our American Turf. She has got some excellent new stickers and t-shirt designs. Go check those out as well. You can find it through her Twitter. Vanessa Vokey, thank you for all that you have been doing for years now, risking yourself out there and all of the attempts to silence you over the years. Skirt Go Spinny, a lot of really amazing creative videos coming from her. Thank you, as always, to Megan Murphy and her continued work, not just with Feminist Current, but her personal work as well. Thank you.
And I want to just interrupt and go on to the next slide, but I want to interrupt in the middle of this just to say, first of all, of course, I echo the call outs to all of these amazing women, and Kay Yang and I really, we think it is it's a very important value to do these call outs, because as all of us know who are involved in this work, there is a lot of work for very little recognition, and so it's really important to do these call outs, because this is how we lift each other up. Of course, we have seen throughout the year, one of the things I don't want to get too much into, but I do want to just touch lightly on, is that there is, of course, often a lot of infighting, because we're all so passionate and we have different strategies about what we think is the most effective. So we've seen some of it with the UK turfs. There's been some of it with the American women. And it's okay, and I think that's what we tried to highlight with our inclusion of serendipity on our last live stream. Is it's okay to have uncomfortable conversations, and you don't have to like everyone.
Yeah.
But there is a value to community and solidarity. There is a value to sisterhood. You don't have to feel it with everyone, but it's up to all of us to lift up the women that we do like. And I think I would love for 2023 to be a year where we do a little bit more of that, spending more time blowing up the women that we think are amazing and important and getting it right. So spending more time talking about who is getting it right and who is doing great work, more on that than we do on the, you've said the wrong thing, you've done the wrong thing, you have the wrong strategy.
Yeah, and again, none of us are None of us are perfect. No one has it 100% right. Nobody's way is the ultimate way that everybody else needs to follow. I always like to point out that everyone is bringing something unique to the table, and each one of us is piquing people and planting seeds with people and reaching people in a way that is unique to each one of us, right? Like I always use Amy and myself for an example. There are people that Amy is going to be able to reach who are going to listen to her, who are going to like her approach, and they are going to get it from her, and they might not get it from me. And vice versa. There are going to be people who want to listen to what I have to say and say, what this Amy woman say, not for me. And that's okay. Right.
Yeah.
So, again, just to say thank you to all of these women, because they're dedicating their time and their energy. Doesn't matter if we don't all agree with stuff, they're reaching people. So, Wombs with a View, thank you for all of your work over there. And Tanya, she's over here. I say over there because most of the women are in the UK. Now, they had Amy and I on for an episode. That was a lot of fun. Thank you to Belissa Cohen. She and Becca also have been out doing videos. They were at the Balenciaga protest recently. I know they were just trying to cover what was going on with a Spa court case, or a date that was that had come up a few days ago. Belissa came all the way to New York City to cover the the Speaker's Corner protest. And of course, she was one of the organizers in LA. A shout out to Rex Landy and all the work that she has been doing, the videos that she's been making. I've seen her doing quite a lot lately, actually, and I know she's in the chat. So shout out to you, sister. Kat Turvins, I don't think that she comes on these live streams, but I know that she has done a lot of incredible art around this issue. It was a pleasure to meet her out in Seattle at the Sovereign Women Speak event. And congratulations, because I believe that she had a baby this year. So congratulations to Kat. Bertie Rose over in the UK, our famous artist Bertie Rose. I have been following her for I don't know how many years now. She was one of the first people I found speaking out on this issue. Christina Goki, who has recently started making videos over here in the US, and she was active during the Let Women Speak USA tour. Also, of course, thank you to After Ellen and Gay Chapman's work, keeping After Ellen by lesbians for real lesbians. A shout out to Brittany, Slightly Twisted Female, over here in the Northeast. She's down in the Philly area. And she's been producing a ton of content through a lot of difficulties it seems like she's had as well with her health. So, and that's another thing. Women are doing all of this work, and a lot of times we don't know what they're dealing with on the other end of the screen, right? We're doing it despite our jobs, despite health issues, despite what's going on with our families, with people's kids. Women are showing up every day, and that's what this is about, is thanking women for doing that. Just like Alex Pinwheel Art is in the chat. I see you now, sister. I know that she's a very busy mom, and she is constantly putting her energy on this issue and her fantastic artwork. Go check out her stickers. Exelantic, who has been just coming back after all the censorship that she has received. I don't know how many accounts she's had axed, and she's still she is resilient and persistent. Thank you for your work. My friend Natalie from Dystopian Deep Dives, she does a lot of great little deep dive videos, and she has been very active in person as well. And then, of course, Ella Androphobia. I've been following Ella's work for 5 years now. We first connected on this issue. And I want to thank her for everything that she has done, and also take this moment to ask people, if you do not know and you have not seen yet, Ella is trying to raise money right now because her sister, her actual blood sister, is dealing with a stage 4 metastasized cancer. So they need help to fund her treatments and to support her family. So if you can, please contribute, and shout out to Ella. we're with you, sister. Okay, let's see. What else did we? We've got just a few more things before we bring on our guest. Go ahead, Amy. Do you want to?
Yeah, we can just move through this. We can just move through this very quickly. I just wanted to highlight it. I thought it was one of the great ironies of the year when mermaids attempted to have the LGB Alliance's charity status put under review. While they did that, they themselves became under review. The head of the charity, Susie Green, who of course is famous for taking her son to another country in order to get him plastic surgery so that he could mimic a girl. She has also been quoted joking about his child-sized genitalia because there was not enough of his genitals to do the surgery correctly. So this is the kind of monster person that she is. She was forced to resign, and then because of mermaids attempting to go after LGB Alliance, they themselves came under review for their charity status. So I thought it was a pretty good irony of the year. I don't know that we need to spend so long on it because we do have a lot to say today, but it was just a nice little karmic twist in favor of women and girls.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. And I did see, I'm trying to follow the chat. I got a lot going on my screen, but I did see someone ask me to shout out Aaron Brewer. Absolutely. Shout out to Aaron Brewer at Advocates Protecting Children. Like I said, I was just trying to throw together a little list real quick. I'm happy to shout out any women who have been doing this work. So thank you for everyone in the chat who are making suggestions for us. Let's see, what else were we gonna do here? I think we should move on to bring on a special guest that we have here for you today. It looks like we're gonna have two guests. I'll leave up on the screen for you the United Nations headquarters protest from March 16th, 2022 in New York City. Of course, protesting the Sustainable Development Goals, aka Agenda 2030, specifically goal number 5, which they call gender equality. But when they say gender equality, what they are doing is inserting the definition of gender identity into gender and sex. They've actually pretty much removed sex from all of their documentation, and now they are making recommendations for policies to governments all around the world. There are 193 member states within the UN. And of course, their influence goes beyond those member states, right? So we'll talk more about some of the importance of why we're focusing on the UN later on. But I don't know if our guests can hear me. I see they're both backstage, but I'm not sure if they're ready. Yes. Okay.
And we, of course, we call out Kelly J. Keene. We loved her tour. We spent the last month covering her entire United States tour. We are, of course, very appreciative of what she does and continues to do. And I see some other great names: Dr. Julia Long, Holly Lawford Smith, Gay Chapman. I don't know if you were here. We shouted you out earlier, and after Ellen earlier. We appreciate you all so much. But let us go ahead and introduce our guests.
Yes, I would like to welcome to the live stream Zan from WDI. She is the volunteer coordinator for all of the amazing webinars that get produced. Let's see, let's close this. There we go. Hi, welcome, Zan.
Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. 2023 is going to be a great year.
Yes, it is.
I just feel it, even though there's a lot of ugly things going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yes, I am one of the coordinators. I am a little worker bee behind. There's a little small group of us that coordinate the Beatrice, that coordinate the webinars. And I thought I'd just talk briefly about WDI, Women's Declaration International. We have our U.S. chapter, and I'm assuming lots of the women in the chat are from the States, but I work with the international, the sort of the mothership. I encourage everyone who hasn't to sign the declaration. We have every day, we have a few people signing, and we have about just under 40,000 signatories. We have about 160 countries represented and over 300, I don't have the numbers, you can look on the website, of organizations that are behind what we're about. And I'll talk a little bit about the webinars because I think they have been a key factor in my peaking, and not my peaking, but my engagement, my increased engagement just over the last year. I am utterly new to all of this. And I've been a lesbian since I was in my 20s, and I'm in my 60s. And I sort of got wind of this in 2019 when I went to the Gay Pride Festival, which is right around the corner from my house. And the speaker the whole time was talking about trans kids. And there was an organization, a hospital around the corner, and we should support them. And I felt really uncomfortable. I'm like, what? And that was 2019. And it wasn't until 2021, at the end of 2021, that I found Kelly J, and then found my way to WDI. So, and started volunteering with them in April. So what the webinars are presentations. It's a women only. There's often about 100 to 300 women who show up for presentations. We have presentations from women all over the world. We've had them recently from Afghanistan. Coming up, Kay Yang is going to be presenting on the UN. I can tell you we have an investigative reporter from Belgium who I follow on Twitter, who is doing some amazing investigative journalism on what's going on in Belgium, speaking to one point about men and women's prisons. So Belgium has had a self ID for 5 years. Okay, 5 years, and she was trying to investigate how many men, how this is all working, what's the data on it. And she was basically, blocked, basically said, well, we don't keep those kinds of records. Basically, how many men are in women's prisons, or who's really, who's identifying as what. And that's just one of the things she's doing. So she's going to be on soon. We've got a German activist coming on talking about some of the very interesting things going on with in sex work in Germany, India, Afghanistan. So we've got these presentations, and then I think that the really wonderful thing about it is after it, we have it's in Zoom, and we have breakout rooms. These are women only. It's video on. And there's usually meet the speaker breakout room where we can talk, and then there are many other breakout rooms. Some of them go on for hours and hours and hours. The thing of it is that it's this way to not be isolated, because I live in California. I'm isolated, I mean, I have friends, of course, but they're, they're doing their thing and they're not as into this as I am. And so it's a wonderful, and I find necessary way to connect with other women activists, to find out what's going on, to hear other people talking, around the world, primarily obviously in the Americas and Europe, because of the time zones,
Right.
So we'll always be dealing with the time zone things. The other event that we produce, which is also time zone based, is on Sundays. It's called the Radical Feminist Perspectives, and it is just a discussion about a particular book between two people who've read it. Leah Keith has been Leah Keith's been on, Sheila Jeffries, all various women talking about these classic and not so classic books on feminist thought. Even if you're not a feminist, I'm sort of a feminist, sort of not. Depends on what day it is.
You don't have to be a feminist.
I know. No, not at all. We're not. We're so not into this whole identity mishmash. If you're not saying this, the only thing that we're focused on is women's sex-based rights. And let me share. Can I share my screen really easily? Yeah.
Yes, please.
Let me go here.
Great.
Oh, where's my screen share?
And yeah, I wanted Zam to come on the show because not only because of her work with WDI and all of the coordination that she does, and she's usually behind the scenes doing all of that. I wanted to get her on the screen in front of all of us, but also because her perspective is unique, because not only does she live here in the US, but she's also lived in Germany and Italy. And have you lived other places in Europe too, Zan?
No, I spent some time in the Netherlands. No, I spent and a lot of time in France and stuff. Yeah, I can't share my screen because I'm on an old computer and it just won't handle it. What I wanted to share was just that I was talking about our radical feminist perspectives and the YouTube channel, but I can put those links. In the chat later, so that people can connect up with them if they're interested. What else did I want to say? I don't know. I didn't prepare anything, Grant, because I'm not really a.
That's okay.
Slide person. Yeah. My experience, so living recently in Italy, Italy we don't have to worry about right now because we have a far right, the first woman prime minister in the history of this country. But she's from, she's like Marine Le Pen. She's, she's very, she's right. She's very right. In fact, we're going to be having the WDI country contact from Italy talking about the state of Italy sometime in January. I know what I wanted to show. It was about the WDI is really the only organization that is focused at that international level. If you go to our website, WDI, womensdeclaration.com, and you look under sign the declaration came into being. 3 women wrote it, came into being because of the United Nations changes in all their documentation with CEDAW that was written back in the 70s that they decided to change in 2019. So the UN is on our radar for 2023, and I know it's on Kelly J. Keene's radar for 2023. And I saw other people talking in the chat about
it's going to be on all of our radar.
It is. I mean, I am tweeting to these guys, and anyway, I don't want to get into it. So yeah, I don't know. That's all I have. I don't want to keep people too long. If you have any questions.
Yeah, this is great, Zan. I guess I would like if you could share with us maybe any of your highlights from the year, Like, because with you coordinating the webinars, it's like you get to be kept abreast of so much that's going on. So across all the things that have come through your inbox and across your desk, what are maybe just a few things from this year that made you feel hopeful?
Well, of course, Kelly J coming to the States. I had just gotten back from Italy. I was there for 2 months, and she we got the call. I follow her, and I saw that she's going to be in LA, which is close to where I live. So I went up to LA and spoke. It was wild being on, right in the middle of Hollywood. But then what happened was I reported that back to to our webinar team, and I said, let's follow this. I'll put together videos so that we did that. And I basically attended. That's how I got to know you guys. All of the rest of the events online, and then pieced together some videos. That whole tour on a global level, you could see was exciting everybody. Because the States, being the empire that it is in the world, has a huge role, and so everybody in our organization really were interested and excited about bringing that to the fore. Let's see, something. Well, of course, Scotland and Spain recently. So, the country contact for Spain, Amparo Dominga, she was actually in the Spanish Parliament 2 weeks ago, whenever it was coming down to, and did this brilliant speech about why they should not, introduce this bill. I translated it to English, and I'm trying to get her position. I'm waiting to get her permission to put it up on the YouTube channel, because it's such. And there's also the video of her doing it on the WDI YouTube channel of her presenting in the Spanish Parliament on why they can't do this. I think overall, I'm very much of a process person. What I am so impressed by is the expertise and the commitment of the women that are working in organization. And if you know people who want to volunteer, we're always looking for volunteers. Whether it's for the webinars or with the website or whatever, it truly is international, and that is really important to me, because as an American and a European, I'll be frank, United States dominates everything, and I don't like it, and I will be, I won't be kind about it. Americans need to kind of shut up a little bit and calm down a little bit, and let the smaller countries kind of, have some space, have some,
I think it's I mean, I think I love that you're saying that, because I do think there's such power in what WDI does in covering how women are fighting back on this issue internationally. Obviously, what we see in front of us is a globally organized movement. And of course, Kay Yang covers this so well in her research about the UN, the way that this is a global coordinated issue that we face. So the more we can be coordinated ourselves, the more that we can see ourselves as a globally united front of women who are facing this issue. I think the more strength and power that we can have, and of course that's what we love to do with having these live streams, is to be able to talk about the amazing work that women are doing, not just here but everywhere. But I do think one of the things that is worth saying is that a lot of the funding and backing and coordinated media around the propaganda on this issue, of course, is coming from the United States. So I do think in this interesting way, we have something really important to address about how a lot of this propaganda is disseminated through Hollywood, through the movies, through the fashion industry. much of which is located here. So I think
you're absolutely right. It does. I mean, you know, believe me, my Italian and my German friends, I learned long ago, you know, that's why I'm critical, is because I've lived outside of outside, away from the Iron Curtain. I have friends that are completely critical of the United States. Otherwise, you know, I'd be feeling this. I would not have the critical awareness that I have about the role of the United States everywhere. And you know, I have to sort of bear the brunt sometimes of you know, their kind of hatred, you know, everything up into even to the war in Ukraine, which of course, you know, if you talk about geopolitics, yeah, you know, it's all coming from the States. So, and I think the WDI, I mean, we're a small organization. It's not like every organization. It's not like we have a lot of money, but we have a lot of it's centered in the UK, because that's where the main organizers come from. But you know, like Amparo, she's really involved. Obviously, language is an important thing, because not all women speak English fluently enough or feel confident enough. And I try to really encourage women from various, you know, linguistic backgrounds to work with us, because we need to have we need it to be like the EU, right? The EU is, you know, a federation of countries, of peoples with different states, different cultures, and that's what the WDI is. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been trying to point out, myself and other women, of course, have been trying to point out through our research just how globally connected this issue is, how well coordinated and organized they are at the top, who are pushing this down on the rest of us. And so we have to unite together as well. We have to, you know, be just as unified as they are if we're going to stand a chance to resist this. So, Zan, that's part of why I wanted you to come on the show today, because, you know, you have the perspective, not just from being with WDI, but from being, you know, from having lived in Germany and Italy and being so connected with women around the world. And you were saying how important it is that we lift up some of the smaller countries. And that is also why we have invited our second guest to the show today. Welcome, of course, incredible Rex Landy.
Kia ora.
Thank you so much.
I love
Hi,
that.
Rex.
Now,
Can we give Rex the stage? I don't need to be on stage anymore.
you're welcome to stay with us, Zan, if you want to stay in the studio.
Hi, Rex. Where are you?
I'm in New Zealand. I'm in
Oh my
Melbourne,
gosh!
Yeah,
Thank
all
you.
the way down in Aotearoa, and it's a beautiful morning. Living in the future, 2nd of January already.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. God, I jumped in like a robber's dog, man, when you said, "Oh, do you want to come on the stream?" Yes.
I was so hoping you would be here. That's awesome.
Oh, no, I put my notification on, made my coffee, and thought, "Oh, it's in 10 minutes." So yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you for all you do. Those of you, of course, I think most of you in the chat know who Rex Landy is. Rex has her own YouTube channel where she does her own great commentary and feedback. You have also spoken directly to legislation in your country, standing up for women and girls. So we so appreciate the work that you have done. You are absolutely known for being no holds barred when it comes to talking to these political figures who are attempting to gaslight you in front of your face. And you have held the line so beautifully in how you have expressed yourself in these circumstances.
Yeah, thank you so much. I didn't know that was what was going to happen when I talked to the select committee. You know, I was just going to have my little say, and when Deborah Russell, the MP, turned her camera off, it was like, oh, okay, you're hearing shit that's uncomfortable for you. And she had to make room for the truth by standing up, I reckon. And then she made a mistake by telling her Twitter followers, "Oh, I want to tell someone to fuck off. Would you understand why?" And all her followers went, "Oh, what's the matter, darling?" She says, "I've been listening to gender critical submissions all day." She got taken to task for that, and the ratio was pretty glorious on her Twitter because people just went, people pay your salary. That woman pays your salary. So I did a reply to her and said, you know, come and tell me to my face. If you came to me and said, fuck off, Rex, with your tranny views, I would respect you. I wouldn't like you, but I'd respect you to actually stand for your views, because if you don't stand for something, you'll stand for anything, you know? And this is a war on children, an absolute outright war on children, because they're programmable.
Yes.
You can tell them that the sky is green and the moon is made of green cheese, and they'll believe you. They are programmable. That's why kid fuckers want them. That's why these predators want them. It's that simple. I'll never call a tranny anything but a man in a dress or a woman with no tits. There's no special category of trans or tranny. There's just men and women, boys and girls, mentally ill or not. And if you're not fucking ill, why do you need treatment?
Yep.
Bit of a fucking poser, isn't it? Why do these well people who want to cut their dicks off and splay their fucking vaginas, they're so fucking well, they want to take a fucking scalpel to themselves, and you're going to change the basis of my laws for these mentally ill fuckers who used to be probably left out for the world. I know that my people in TR, we have acceptance for everybody, absolutely everybody. However, he wouldn't be my first choice on a raiding party, someone who wants to wear my pew-pew, my woman's pew-pew. I wouldn't be choosing him as my first one on the raiding party unless I was going to eat him on the way home.
Yeah.
Pretty much. He'd just be food. That's all, you know?
Rex, could you actually talk about, or you know, if you want to comment about this, the fact that Maori culture is continuously being misappropriated to kind of justify gender identity ideology?
Absolutely. We've got an absolute dog of a woman. She's a fucking dog, and her name is Elizabeth Kitty Kitty, but I call her Kuri Kuri because Kuri is dog. She's a dog. She knows I think she's a dog. I'm not actually allowed to talk to Parliament anymore. I've submitted
for Parliament.
I keep submitting. I keep writing to them because I'm a prolific writer. and I've written submissions on our censorship bill. We've got a coroner's bill that is allowing the coroner to put in unascertained natural causes instead of the clot shot and the shit that's killing people. You know, the sudden adult death syndrome. So now our coroner can just say, you fucking died. Move on. And they don't have to report or anything. So I've submitted to that and ticked the box that said, do you want to appear in person? I'm like, yes, fucking please. And no. They won't let me submit to Parliament anymore because the last time I did submit, the MP, one of the MPs said, now we've got questions for you. We might have time at the end. We'll leave time. We need to ask questions of you. I went, no, Minister, I'm here to question you. And she looked like I just shit in her mouth. So that was the end of that. You know, that I haven't been allowed to submit to Parliament ever again because of hurty feels. Because like that great big cock frocker Rod Laverne Cox says, well, it's a literal violence if you call me a tranny. Right, Chickanisha, you're a fucking dude in a dress. You're a fucking great big monster. You're a fucking monster.
All of us need to push back against this all around the world, this criminalization of our speech.
You tell me that you're scared. We're all fucking scared. I don't want some 6'3" dreadnought in my toilet. But believe me, I'll challenge him. Fuck off, man.
You know, and I used to say transphobia is not real because trans is not real. And of course, trans isn't real. But the reality is there are people who are identifying as trans, men especially, who are identifying as trans, coming into our spaces, harming women, harming children. So at this point, when we're accused of transphobia, I don't actually see anything wrong with being scared Women are allowed to be scared
Yep.
when all of our rights are being taken away. All of our spaces are being taken away. The words we use to describe ourselves are being taken away. We're being written out of the law. We're being written out of history. We're being written out of the news every day. Our resistance is being not only vilified, but erased at every chance they get. Women have the right to be scared. Okay. People have a right to be scared of what's happening.
Well, to me, it's not fear, it's disgust.
Yeah, and
I'm not scared of you, motherfucker. I'm disgusted. Look at the fucking state of you. You're a fucking drug addict.
Yeah.
And you're really annoyed that you're not fucking getting your fix. I need my testosterone. I need my estrogen to turn my dick into a weeping turkey neck. Fucking first prize, bro. Well done. Now you've got a coxaflopping that won't work, and now you're angry at me. Don't be fucking mad at me. I'm not the one who neutered you. All I can say is I'm glad you're not in the gene pool, motherfucker. And you want me to be respectful of some bastard in a dress? I fucking won't, mate, unless you're the widow Twanky in a pantomime. You know.
And worse is that they want to continue to force this onto children. The medicalization and the sterilization of children worldwide.
Yep. This is a war on children, and people are like, oh, but they might cry. You know, let that fucker cry. And if it's so natural, this colonization of Tiao, you know, like there were no trannies in my life, in my time. I know this. They were not called trannies. That's why. They were effeminate men and butch women. We've even got a town up north. It's called Whakatane. Right? And that tane means man, and that means to behave like a man. The women in that town had to down tools and up weapons, and they behaved like men. Yeah.
Interesting.
So they behaved like men. They didn't become men. They didn't get pie speaking rights. They didn't become the chief and go, wow, you're going to be the head of our raiding party or whatever manly thing. They behaved as men. There's a myth that we have where Tiropuraha, one of our greatest generals, they called him the Napoleon of the South because the whiteys couldn't countenance that a cheeky darky was running rings around them. Anyway, Tiropuraha.
You know, I want to point out. I want to point out one of the great things about Rex as a tactic and a strategy for us all to pay attention to, because I think what is so captivating about you, or one of the things that is so captivating, is your absolute irreverence. And I think that so many of us still get conditioned sometimes, even those of us who are hardline, like I'm pretty hardline, but we still get conditioned sometimes into playing this nice game. And I think the way that you speak about the Troons, the way that you come at them with this irreverence, it's so disarming. And I think it's really powerful. And it's really important for us all to pay attention to, because we are in a situation where they are trying to disrupt us from our natural instincts to react to men in our spaces. They're trying to steal those instincts away from us. So I think you are just, you do such a powerful job of modeling having a bold reaction, having something immediate to come back to, and having an absolute just disarming irreverence that takes the power right away from them. And
why would I be respectful of a mentally ill man with no dick who's nicked his fucking genitals? What do I have to respect about that? You're fucking mentally ill. You would have been locked away or left out for the wolves or something. You would have been shunned by your tribe, bro, for your mental illness. Or you would have been accommodated within the family. That's what I go back to, that tribal thing, that this is a mental illness. Any mental illness is sorted on a whānau level, I would believe, that the tribe would know, and that the whānau, the family unit, that's your responsibility. You don't let that person loose upon everybody else, you know, and this is that telling lies that, you know, we accept everybody. Yes, we do. But we don't just accept them, you know, carte blanche. If you're a thief in Tiao, we don't just go, oh, yeah, here, bro, help yourself.
And gender ideologues and trans rights activists are really trying to, hijack narratives around indigenous cultures all around the world, not just Maori culture, but all over the world. And they're trying to manipulate old language to try to make it fit into their ideology. They're deliberately
transing the dead.
Yeah, they're transing the dead. They're deliberately causing a lot of confusion around this. And the main thing that you can say is that medicalization was never, ever a part of any gender nonconformity, of any roles outside our Western ideas of man and woman, and other places where they had other gender roles, right, as they're called. That's a debatable term as well. But in other places where they've had these other roles, there was never medicalization. That wasn't part of it.
No, this hijacking of Te Ao, of Aboriginal culture, of, you know, my brothers and sisters in North America and Canada, all our tribes. It's not the first time we've been colonized by whitey. Come on now, wake up. Hey, this is not the first time we've been told lies by people. You know, remember they came over here with the fucking Bibles and some prayers. No land. They didn't bring any land, but they had plenty of fucking Bibles. And they told us to bow our heads, close our eyes, and pray. They gave us Bibles, and when we looked up, we had the Bibles, they had the land. This is another bait and switch. This is just another bait and switch. Here's your sock. Oh, he's really a woman. And, you know, for the 10 trannies that are non-offensive, fucking mentally ill, non-conforming, sorry, because the rest of you are just fucking degenerate, porn sick, panty sniffing motherfuckers, and I will cut you no quarter. And if it's so natural, if it's so fucking natural, where is David Attenborough with the wig makers of the Serengeti? My secret life as a cheetah. I'm really a leopard. You know. How many trannies are there in the wild? There's not a fucking one. There's no wig maker, some monkey making a fucking wig on the Serengeti for his tranny sister. Fucking where's those docos, mate? You know, but clownfish. Well, can you breathe underwater? Get in.
Yeah.
I'm fucking no. Why would I be respectful of something that's so patently fucking clownish? When you're telling me that Kate Strangio with her little pedo moustache is a man, fucking wake me up. You're all agreeing to play pretend, you know? It's just a game of pretend, legislative pretend. And you know what? Get back to me when that piece of paper fixes your male pattern baldness.
Yeah.
Because you fucking bald, bro.
Rex, I'm gonna say hi to a couple women in the chat really quick. We have VF555. Shannon is here. Chicana Feminista. I've got your stickers coming, sister.
Oh my girls! Oh my girls! Yeah.
We've got Anung, Ikwe in the chat. Jamie, Tanya, the Terror.
Oh, Tanya, my man.
And Iris, the Ecuadorian mom, is in the chat. Hello, Iris. And I want to shout out Iris as well for all of your work. Thank you. All the stuff you do behind the scenes and also not behind the scenes. Thanks for everything that you do. Rex, I want to, Zan is saying that her laptop died. So she might pop back on. Hopefully she can. If not, it was awesome to have her. And I want to
keep a little question. It's not a super important question, but Rex, have you are you trying to get your Twitter account back?
I did get one back. I was April showers and I lasted about 14 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. It's when you ask trannies, get back to me when that piece of paper fixes your male pattern baldness. Oh, my favorite quality in a woman, male pattern baldness and a weeping turkey dick. You know, you got a turkey neck for a dick that's weeping estrogen. You know, why would I be respectful of someone who's fucked like that? It's the only mental illness that's validated. Nobody validates my mental illness. I freely admit I've got mental health issues, but I did some EMDR. Yep. Not for everybody, but I did some high. It was really high powered for a while. I did a big block.
And this is This is a
therapy,
big
yeah.
part of the problem with the gender affirming care because nothing else is explored. There's no other method of therapy. There's no other looking, seeing
No.
what is the underlying problem here?
The-
What else do you have going on in your life? Straight to medicalization.
It's because it's a lifelong patient model is capitalism. This is capitalism. This is a face of capitalism that needs to be stomped on with a big feminist boot.
Yeah,
It needs to just go smack straight down. This is capitalism. We've got nothing else to commodify on the planet. We fucked everywhere, sort of thing. It's run out, and
yes, they've colonized every last
Yep.
piece of planet.
every single thing.
across
This is
the
the
globe. And now
Yep.
the colonization is now directly on the female
us.
body,
Yep.
our female bodies and the female reproductive system and reproduction in general. This
Yep.
is all a move
And
towards
these are
total
yep.
colonization of life on Earth.
And every single law that's been changed, like last year and the year before in New Zealand, is moving towards this. We've got surrogacy, we've got adoption, we've got the Coroners Act, we've got the media. Our state media is going to merge with the big TV, so there'll be one single source of truth for Cindy Hardon, our way-faced prime sinister, piece of shit that she is. That's how scum floats to the top. That's what I think of my prime sinister. She's a fucking maggot. She's a war crim, and she needs to meet Albert Pierpoint's descendants in Nuremberg.
Yeah, we got a lot of war criminals out there ruling things, don't we?
Yeah, and it's by design. And
Yes.
surrogacy is baby farming. It's just child trafficking with a bow.
Yep.
And you know what? Get your tranny fucking sisters to carry your baby, you gay men. Fuck off. Go and get a tranny to carry them. You know what a woman is when you want a blowjob, when it's beat down time or raping time, because it's either a very big yes or a very big no if you want a blowjob, if you're gay or not.
Yeah.
These men know. Like I say, in my last roundup, Michael Biggs, he came here and had a big chat about his time at the Tavistock and la, and then he used the words messy compromise. You can go and lick a tranny out, mate, before I have a messy compromise. You know, go lick a stink ditch out, Michael Biggs, because you're an ally in the streets and a turf in the sheets. You fucking disgust me. We're living with a messy compromise now. How many raped women in prison is acceptable? Fucking plenty.
Right.
You know, I'm still wild. I've been sick and I'm getting better and I'm still really wild. And people go, why are you so angry? And I go, why aren't you? They're not even my children being sterilized. You know,
yeah. Why aren't people angry? I think is a really good question, Rex. Why aren't more people angry about this? And again, I think it comes back to the propaganda coming from all angles, the grooming, because grooming isn't just occurring in the libraries, at drag queen story time, or in the kindergarten classrooms with comprehensive sex education and SOGI studies. Grooming is also coming at all levels. As adults, we are being groomed to be okay with this, to be entertained by it, to see nothing wrong with it, to see women especially, but anyone who speaks out on these issues as problematic people, as people who should shut up, as bigots. We're all
sorry to interrupt, but Kayang, as you well know, organizations themselves can be groomed, which is some of what you were doing when you were going into the colleges and going to the universities, going to organizations. Organizations themselves can be groomed and captured and brought along with this ideology. So it's not just people, it's entire entities.
Well, because you get trapped by the money, there's money involved. There's masses of money. These trannies got heaps of money. Martin Rothblatt with his size 11s. No Louboutins for you, Bigfoot. Jeff, whatever his name is, Jennifer, that fucking sweaty pig. He just looks like he's been boiled. Jesus fuck, he looks like he's just been boiled. Doesn't he? All the time. So, and John Stryker. I keep wanting to say Jeff Stryker because he's a gay porn star and I've got a bit of a block there, but John Stryker, the Noah Project, the Arcus Foundation. This is the money.
Yes, name them and shame them. Exactly. Yeah. And this year we're really, yay, Zan's back. Awesome.
Yay!
Welcome back, Zan.
Hey, I wanted to, but can I jump in? Because that mental health thing really gets me. And I'll tell you why, is because I'm sure Amy can speak to this, but everybody can. but Rex, you said, it was a little while back, I've got a mental illness and nobody's paying attention to me. And there's this stigma around in the American society anyway.
Everywhere.
I think, I don't have a mental illness, but there's a stigma about calling out, just even saying something like, this is a mental illness. How could you possibly say that? It's like calling out somebody's disability. But that's exactly, I feel like I want to say, this, he's mentally, he needs help.
You're fucking mad. What is it? Is it Timmy likes dollies, so we better cut his dick off? Or
I know
Timmy likes dollies. He's just very effeminate, and he might grow up to be a pediatrician or a childcare worker or a loving father. But no, cut his fucking dick off. So, but they tried to remove it. The DSM-4 had gender identity disorder, and the people were moving from the 4 to the 5 and revamping the literature. They removed all the paraphilias. Okay, so gender identity disorder came with, I think it was 11 paraphilias. Don't quote me, but it came with 11 attendant, panty sniffing, hollow you out, wear you as a skin paraphilias.
Yeah,
And
they removed them from DSM and they added them to the end of LGB.
That's right. They removed them from there, and then they changed it from gender identity disorder to gender dysphoria to remove the stigma. And the biggest trick they ever did was equating it with the LGB, because LGB are all the letters. That's all there is. The T is a cult and a mental health illness and a belief system, all rolled into one. The fault is built into the very first cut or the very first appointment. The minute they slice you, you're fucked. Your precious tin under your body, it's all you have. And they have groomed and allowed these people to be so dissociated from it. I mean, I would like to say, to lose weight. The only way I know to lose weight is a pound at a time, very slowly. I've tried everything else. I used to be 150 kilos, okay, hitting up to 300 pounds when I was very sick with my diabetes. And I tried the crash, I tried the starve, and then I just tried changing one thing, little wee thing, and that's the proper method, but the proper method for trannies is giving them talk therapy. There's something wrong with the wiring in your head. There's something wrong with the wiring in mine. So I went and got help. But now they're going, yes, queen, slay, show me that dick. It's fucked right off, you fucking pervert. Most of it, a lot of them are porn sick. And people talk about the genuinely dysphoric. You're fucking mentally ill. And we need to call it what it is. That's why I got no respect. I will rip it right back, unvarnished, straight back to the boards.
It's something about gender dysphoria. There's something about gender dysphoria that bothers me, is that to me, it seems like young girls especially, but really anyone growing up in the society, boys too, of course they're being dissociated from their body. Of course there are all these extreme standards that are hyper visibilized by social media, that are shoved in these young people's faces, that make them feel like there's something wrong with their body. It's being done on purpose. This gender, like dysphoria, and I don't want to say gender dysphoria, but body dysphoria. And
I say body dysmorphia.
Exactly, body dysmorphia is being induced.
But they look down on they look down on the people that think they're amputees and ought to cut their leg off. And you notice that disabled people are never born in the wrong body.
Yeah.
I bet the person born blind would really love to have a body that sees, but they never ever frame their blindness as, I was born in the wrong body.
That is coming. That actually is starting to happen in disability justice spaces now. I've seen it for at least 5 or more years now, where the talk in some disability justice spaces is trending towards open acceptance of transhumanism. And the idea that, yeah, there needs to be a changing or a fixing of wrong bodies. Of course, they're not necessarily calling them wrong bodies yet, but that is that's like basically what they're saying about disabled people's bodies. And this is disabled people themselves sometimes have now adopted this type of thought. And
but think of the attention the disabled are getting now through the trannies because they're disabled. It's always notoriously us disabled have always been the bottom of the bottom. You know, they're very marginalised. I mean, my sister Dilandi has a friend who's in a wheelchair user, and she can't count the amount of times she's been robbed in a disabled toilet and rolled out and left and had all her food taken and because she's so, you know, disabled people are very much maligned. And now the trannies are me too, and it's you colonising motherfuckers. Fuck off. You're mentally ill. I would lock them away. I got asked. Corrections here. New Zealand corrections are changing the guidelines about trannies because men need to be in the women's estate. And I put my submission in, and they said, "What would you do with the trans-identified men?" And I said, "Well, put the trannies and segs in the men's estate and give them enough therapy till they're happy about their dick." They didn't get back to me. I can't think why, but that's how I talk to our parliament. Fuck you. You're just a person. You put your pants on one leg at a time. You're never going to suck a weeping fucking stink ditch, are you? You're never going to suck a tranny dick. They're allies in the streets and turfs in the sheets. Because the day I see Elizabeth Kuri get down and lick a weeping stink ditch is the day I will believe in trans rights. Because she's a fucking lesbian, this MP, the one who gave Beth Johnson the hard time. Well, I say if you don't want to be transphobic, don't say transphobic things. She deleted 83 comments off her page. And I hear anecdotally, this woman, this fucking dog, this fucking maggot piece of shit dog, Kuri, got chased out of a town in my country.
Really?
For tranny shit. You're fucking trying to say that we can call out, that men can call out to the spirit. You're trying to tell me that women can do that. There, get out. She was bundled off, mate. Fucking chased out of town.
Maybe that's what we need in 2023. More pitchforks.
Well, what is it going to take? You know, and I know it doesn't affect a lot of people, but I do believe with the first thing that happened is the lockdowns. I'm not, you know, I don't like the clot shot. I'm unjabbed. I didn't want to take an experimental medication.
Same here, Rex.
You know, I mean, okay, just one thing. 1918, the flu epidemic, we didn't get a vaccine until the 50s. But in 2 weeks, some stupid little fucker with a syringe full of shit says, take this. So the lockdowns destroyed the societal cohesion. Worldwide.
On purpose.
It was on purpose. It was by design, and everybody was damaged. I'm living in a post-jab society. I'm living with people who are vax damaged. You can see it. You can fucking see it when they're walking around the jabalons. And I know lots of,
you know, I'm constantly pointing out what the UN is doing, but they work so very closely and are interconnected with the World Economic Forum. And their chairman, Klaus Schwab, actually wrote a book called COVID-19, The Great Reset. So if you don't believe that it's connected, go and check out just what's freely available of the book online.
Filth. They are unelected
hiding
filth.
it.
And they scum rises, you see. Just like in any soup or stew, scum rises to the top. We need to scrape it off. In 2018, I called for a cull of the top 10%. And I'm a bit radical. But in 2018, I said that is the only thing that is going to reset our society is to scrape the fucking scum off the top. And that dead parasite last year who died, whose son's a kid fucker, and everybody goes, oh, my queen. She's not my queen. She's a filthy parasite. That would have been the ideal time to Notre Dame that place with all of them in. I would have Notre Damed it without a fucking heartbeat's thought, mate.
I mean, again, all this, you know, humanizing propaganda for elites who have colonized over like how much of the entire world, right? I feel no sympathy for them either. No,
you know, Harry and his house servant, fucking getting into a Learjet Learjetting round the world telling me that washing my car is selfish and going to destroy the planet. Go fuck yourself with something sharp. You and your fucking house servant.
Prince Charles, I don't know
Oh,
what his title is now,
biggies.
or if it's changed since the
He's a
Queen or
king.
whatever died.
Filthy old kid fucker brother.
Yes, agreed. But Prince Charles is one of the spokespeople for the Great Reset and for the World Economic Forum. So
Yeah,
these people are all tied in and in bed together.
That filthy prick gets his fucking newspaper ironed before he touches it so he doesn't get black hands.
You know,
So,
I don't even know if it's a joke or if it's true, because we live in such a bizarro world.
You know, these are people. The man has not had a fucking real moment in his life.
Yeah.
Imagine him coming round to my house.
Kay Yang, you've spoken. We've spoken a little bit about this. That 2023 really needs to be the year of non-compliance. We've seen since the beginning of COVID, since the introduction of all of these quote unquote trans rights, we have been being tested, and ultimately these governments are saying that they are dealing with a very compliant population. And we need to, more and more in our every single everyday lives, practice the practice of non-compliance, not going along with their stupid words, not going along with the pronoun game, not complying, not being a part of it as much as possible. Practice non-compliance everywhere, because there are so many of us.
And you know what I'd like to see? Sorry to interrupt, Amy, is that young woman, the young woman, the swimmers who were shut out by the swimming fridge, that great big fucker. And, the women that are running and losing and all of that. What I really would like to see is JK and all the other rich TERFs set up a fund, an education fund for them, so they can just go, fuck you, you're a man in a dress.
Yep.
But there's not that cohesion. There's women, if I won the lottery, that's the first thing I'd do. I'd set up separate organisations for women here. See, because sex is still a protected characteristic in New Zealand. Gender is not one of the 11 protected characteristics. Everyone acts like it is. All the government forms have changed. Everything has changed. There are tampons and pads in every government department men's toilet with a sign saying, please do not remove, because some mentally ill woman will go, my man feels I'm a king. No, you're not. You're a fucking daft woman with no tits. And have you cut your vagina out? Fucking so much women. And I'm very scornful. And I'm right at the leading edge of that, because I will never, ever give a moment to this. And the cost is so high for people and parents who are living it, all of that. My son said to me, he says, Mum, that's the whole fucking point of you. Right? And I said, I'm like a cow catcher on the front of a train. You know those old cow catchers that just go, boom, get the fuck out of my way.
Yeah, and we need some of that, right? We need some of that.
Heretic feels. You can come with your fucking blankets and bandages and soothing for the fucking burns that I've caused and the shots fired and the hurt feelings and the outrage. But unless something pierces through this with you're a tranny, you're a man in a dress, tell me about your weeping dick, or laugh at their face. I mean, God, there's one man, Lee Francis, he got X-Atlantic channel taken down last time. This Kiwi prick here, he had 16 hours on his face and it still looks like a brick. And he told me I was responsible for taking her channel down because it was my comments that led him. And I'm like, YouTube is public. You know that people are going to comment and laugh at you. Why would you put up, I regret my stink ditch, and not have people laugh? I find it endlessly funny. I know that's wrong of me and I'm mean, but fuck, so what? You chose to do this to yourself. You're a grown-ass adult and you don't have a fucking friend in the world. That's what that tells me, is you don't have a fucking friend in the world. Because I've been talked out of stuff. Friends have talked me out of things, and that's what friends do. Friends don't let friends get stink ditches installed.
Well, I have to say, when during my time as a trans rights activist, I did let my friends do these things and have these surgeries, and not only did I let them do it, but I supported them, or went through the motions of doing what I thought I was supposed to do and saying what I thought I was supposed to say to be supportive. But reflecting back on that, I do think to myself, well, I was totally uncomfortable. Why did I go along with that? Why did I go along with it? Just because of all the influence telling me that's what I was supposed to do? So the social pressure is very high. Social pressure coupled with indoctrination, it is really warping the minds of our young people.
It really is. It's by design. And back to that, setting up a fund for girls, because you can either make history or be history. What do you want to be? You want to be history, just another fucking nobody that sat there and did nothing, and yet your life is on the line. Your scholarship, you might not get a good job. Well, fuck, the economy's fucked. We're all going to be in cages breeding if we fucking don't stop this shit. The poor countries, I noticed there were poor countries that didn't get adequate supplies of the jab. Guess where the new surrogacy breeding grounds are going to be? The places where they had no jabs, because I believe that this jab took out the breeders and the warriors. Because 24-year-old men don't drop dead of heart attack.
Yep.
Remember all the kids at school when you woke up and there was 5 children dead at your school? Remember that? Me either.
No,
I don't. Just fucking die. So and they're rewriting history and trying to tell us that this plot shot is great. Jacinda Ardern is a filthy war criminal, just like her father. He actually locked up a whole country, Tokelau. There was not even a case of COVID there.
Right.
Not even one case. And there were people there under fucking house arrest for over a year, haven't left their house because Ross Ardern is busy. They love jabbing brown people. They fucking love locking us brownies up. Yeah, and he was the man who locked us all up in the 70s. I've said it in my piece, but it's hard to get the flavour of New Zealand because we are a young country, so we haven't had years and years of England's traditions. They've imported them over, and we're jolly old Blighty, and Christchurch is laid out like an English town, say, and la la la. And they did use the colonial things of all the cheeky darkies that were bad. Well, they just turned them into slaves, and we built the country. State Highway 1 at Waiuru is made of my cousin's tupuna, of my cousin's ancestors.
Wow.
My cousin's ancestors said, please, this is our burial cave. So they went and blew it up and used it to lay the road.
Wow.
I wonder why that piece of road is one of those most dangerous stretches. So, the colonizer came here to smooth the pillow of a dying people.
And these large-scale infrastructure projects, they target Indigenous sacred sites, not just here in the U.S., but just like you described happening with your family there as well. That's not by accident.
No, they hate us. You can never, ever, ever go wrong with overestimating, how much the descendants of genocidal colonizers hate us.
That's right.
It's coming with your milk. I'm sorry, but it's coming with your milk. You don't even know it. And the structures are all there for you to benefit day in, day out. It's a death sentence if you're brown and want to go to the hospital in New Zealand. So nearly a death sentence.
And here in America, because this land has been colonized for so long, most people in the non-Indigenous settler society don't even think about this as being an occupation.
Just shut up. It was a long time ago. That's what they do. Sorry, but
they're not even thinking of it in that way or seeing it in that way. And then if it is presented to them, it's like it's not relevant. They can't understand why that would matter. So we do need to visibilize that this is an occupation. We're living in a settler colony, and colonization has played such a huge role around the world in accumulating wealth and land and power, which has enabled them to build these structures and systems that they're using to now colonize our female bodies and life on Earth. So this,
That's
if
right.
you think it's not connected, well, let me connect the dots for you because it is.
I would argue too that in the United States, particularly, but not exclusively, there's this hesitation to be political. I mean, I've seen this, when I was discussing with my friends who are long-term lesbians, who vote Democrat and all that, I confronted them on the trans stuff, and they get it to a point. They're not willing to, and I think they're just they're like everybody, a lot of people, my family as well, they don't see the connection, the connections, political connections. You don't have to go do a deep dive, but what I also perceive is that when they do see them, they feel so disempowered. They don't know what to do, so they vote. But then, like a lot of us find out, well, voting isn't really changing anything. And so I think there's this general sense of it doesn't fucking matter. You know what I mean? What I do is I'm going to just live my life and, have my speedboat and all that. And do donations at the end of the year because of it's a tax write-off. And that's the American, middle class. Well, I'm talking about middle class people.
Yeah, they don't want to know what's going. A lot of people just don't want to know what's going on. And they really prefer to remain in cognitive dissonance and look the other way.
Yeah.
Well, and everything about our system is set up to create that, to keep it happening. The constant television shows, you can binge a whole series, watch 10 hours all in a row where it starts playing. You don't have to even push play, it just starts playing, it sucks you in. Same way with scrolling on social media.
Yeah, keeping up with people. These are oxygen thieves, like I say, scum rises to the top. And, sex on a beach. Oh, yeah, and there's a program. Ruin your relationship, but this time on an island. It's like all this.
So what are we looking towards in 2023? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
From the standpoint, from the WDI standpoint, the organization is small, but I'm sort of trying to lead an initiative to sort of get down out onto the streets, kind of a thing. I'm not going to see anything more about it, but what else do we want to see in 2020?
I want every woman in New Zealand to change the sex marker on her birth certificate and change it to male, because they've allowed that now. It's about $10. You don't have to live in as anything. You just need to solemnly declare to a justice of the peace that you will live as a man and you are a man now. So I'm going to change the sex marker on my birth certificate, and then in 2 years I'm going to do it again. I'm going to skew with their stats. And if I was a bit more likable when people in New Zealand like me, because the women here don't.
That's an interesting strategy.
Nah, they don't fucking like me. But I tell you, every woman in New Zealand changed the birth certificate. Imagine if 200,000 women became men overnight.
Yeah.
On April the fucking 10th or whenever it comes in. And now statistics, you're collecting statistics, and there's these extra 200,000 men. Because you have made it meaningless. Well, we're going to make it meaningless too.
Right. They want to make a mockery of women and a mockery of the distinctions between the sexes. Then you can play them back and culture jam on them.
I'll scratch my balls and go to them, and
I think we should all do that. I think we should all do that. I love it. I'm legally, like, when they're like, I'm legally a woman, I have this paper, I'll be like, I'm legally a man, and I have this paper.
I am a man. And funny, a long time ago I babysat a girl, and she was said, oh, and her mum said, we've got people coming for tea. She went, oh, who's that? She goes, oh, it's Rexy and Gordon. And she went, oh, I thought you meant people, like strangers, like people I didn't know. And people, proper people. She's 7. She goes, what do you mean? She goes, people that dress like a lady and a man. Because I was a bit out there and, shredded clothes and trousers. So Gordon and I went to dinner, and I went in a suit and he went in a dress. So this is 50 years ago. And we went to dinner and we walked on in and I opened the door for him and he came in a dress for this little girl to just go, no, 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 only girls wear dresses. And, you know, now I'd be a man completely just by putting that suit on and, you know. So I'm all for just changing it, change your birth certificate. And you only have to live like a man for 2 years. You could go and request your 27% pay rise because all women are working in New Zealand from about November, they're working for free. But if you're brown, you're working for free from October the 13th, you lucky bitches. How's that? That's how badly we're paid and how badly the thing is. So direct action and non-compliance. I don't follow gender jeebus. I don't put pronouns in my bio. My niece has done that at her job and got pushed back and she pushed straight back and they haven't mentioned it again.
Yes. So I want to run with non-compliance because I brought this up to Amy like a couple days ago when we were chatting about just like everything that's been going on and where we want to go for the next year. And Amy said some of this earlier, but I really want to stress that non-compliance is the way out of this, okay? Because we can't sit around and wait for celebrities or figureheads or politicians to fix this problem, because in fact they're all working together to bring us further and further down
They're
this
in on it.
They're in on it. And I know that some people might say, oh, well, we have this person or that person, but it doesn't matter. We still cannot wait for a hero to come in and save us. Every single woman needs to step up and become her own active, sovereign agent in all of this, to take control of our, take our power back and say no. And it doesn't even have to be you're actually going out physically saying no. You can say no just by the choices that you make every day. But being vocal about saying no is very important, because when one woman says no, it allows other women the room to say, well, I feel stronger and bolder to say no too. Mass non-compliance is so important. It's what we needed during the lockdowns. It didn't happen. And because it didn't happen, we saw the repercussions, some of which are still transpiring right now, especially like what's happening in China, because people did not say no. They pushed and they pushed and they pushed, and they're taking every little shred of dignity and humanity and freedom that people have left. So if we don't mass non-comply about this, they're going to take everything from women. They've already taken so much. What more is there to take? They will take everything. They won't stop. That's what narcissists do. That's what evil people do. They take and they take and they take, and they don't stop. If you give them an inch, they'll take 10,000 miles, and they already have, and they're prepared to take more, and they will take more.
Yeah. They won't be happy until we are all in gulags being raped, making babies for them to molest. I'm not going to recant. I'm not going to recant because that's their evil fucking agenda. That's what they want. Arne Valens, he gatekeeps the media in the US. He makes sure that every cockfrocker is called a woman, but he wants gulags of TERFs to rape. That's his. But you see, when I call him a tranny, people go, "Oh, Banhammer, she's mean." I'll tell you what's mean: men raping women in jail, pretending for some mentally ill fried Kanisha so he doesn't fucking cry. Let the fuck cry. Jesus, what's he gonna do? Give him a fucking hanky and say, "Go to therapy." You're fucking daft. You are mad. And just anecdotally, kids here are getting a bit sick of it. Got a friend who's got a teenage boy, and he just went, the trannies take, he didn't say that, but the trannies take all the fucking airtime out of the room because you're so fucking special. And our Ministry of Education is busy inculcating children, because yes means not saying no. They've got people who can talk to your kids about propaganda, and they want you to actively hide the pronouns of children. That's on the Ministry of Education website. You can be, Janet in the daytime, and you can be John when you go home, and your parents won't even know. There's wardrobes here binders. We've got a fucking organisation that receives government money is now called Auntie Dana's Op Shop. Transgender, set up by a tranny. I mean, that's a really fucking professional name, eh? Auntie Dana's Op Shop. What are you doing with that money? There's people killing. We got the highest rate of suicide here. People living in cars, but some fuck's giving a whole lot of money for lashes and bow a fucking feather, feather
And what you just said, Rex, about how a kid can go to school with one name, be sent to school with one name and be called a different name at school, how they're so-called transing kids behind the backs of their parents. That leads me, I want to shout out Jennifer De La Sega from Partners for Ethical Care, because this actually happened to her daughter. This happened to her 11-year-old daughter, who they started transing her at school without her parents' knowledge. You can see there's what is it? What is it? I don't want to mess it up. Independent Women's Forum. If you go on their YouTube, they have produced a short documentary with Jennifer about what happened to her daughter. Also, I want to shout out the Independent Women's Forum, who also did a short documentary with Jeanette Cooper, another co-founder of Partners for Ethical Care. Jeanette, as you might know, lost custody of her daughter for refusing to identify her daughter as a male and use he, him pronouns for her daughter. Also, a couple notable other documentaries that came out this year. Of course, there was the Adult Human Female documentary. There is the Affirmation Generation documentary that Joey Bright has been working on that is going to be coming out very soon. There was the Detransition Diaries from Jennifer Lahl, who is, of course, the head of the Bioethics Research Center. Excellent documentary that's available on Vimeo. Also available on Vimeo is the documentary Dead Name. That was by Tina. Is it Traster or is it Traster? I believe is her last name. Another documentary about the transgendering of children that features some parents, including Amy Crete, who is one of the mothers that I've organized with here in New York City. And she runs 2 groups for parents of rapid onset gender dysphoria children. So that's a little wrap up of some of the documentaries that are available. If you all haven't seen them yet, that's also excellent peak trans material. Rex and Zan, I want you to stay on the call with us, but we're going to start to do a little bit of wrapping up. And we're going to just say a few things about moving forward, and then we'll take it to each of you for a final comment. Amy, you want to start?
Yeah, I just I want to sort of underscore what we are attempting to do with our live streams, what we did with our coverage of Kelly J. Keene's Let Women Speak tour, and what we are going to continue to do, which is to underscore the fact that this is a global agenda that we are facing, and we are a global community. I know that we might not agree on everything. We may be different in our approaches. We may be different in our strategies. But what we can observe, and what we have observed today, is that there are women in countries all over the globe who are fighting this on their own terms, in their own voices, organizing together in groups of hundreds or in groups of 5. Women are coming together to fight this issue. They are speaking out in their state legislation. They are speaking up in school boards. They are organizing actions. They are stickering. There is all kinds of work being done. And we need to remember that we are also a global community. So I think build your alliances where you can. You do not have to get along with everyone, but find someone that you can get along with and build community, because we are absolutely stronger together. One of the reasons that I love doing this with Kay Yang so much is because I feel I feel my feelings. I feel how much stronger I am with her at my side. I have spoken out on this alone, but when I have a friend, a partner, a trusted colleague whose strategy and analysis I feel strongly about, I feel stronger together. I feel stronger when Rex is here. I feel stronger having Zan on. I feel stronger with all of the women that we have mentioned today on this program. Seeing how they combat this helps me be stronger. So I want to remind us of that. And Kay Yang, I do want you to please speak a little about the UN. I see you putting it up and taking it down, but
I'm trying to put the other one up because Pinwheel said it's blurry.
But this is coming, as Kay Yang always reminds us, this is being driven from the top down. The propaganda would like us to believe that this is some sort of grassroots movement coming from some sort of marginalized class of people, and it is the absolute opposite and inversion of that. This is a top-down corporate agenda of big banks, big corporation, big tech, big pharma, big Hollywood, big everything. This is a top-down agenda that we are facing, and we need to recognize that these major NGOs are not just complicit in it; they are the creators of it. And Kay Yang is one of the probably the prime researcher about the UN, and we are going to be doing more against the UN this year. This is they are doing more, and we have them in our sights. We have scoped them out. They are in our sights. They are on warning. We're coming after them. This is the target that we all need to be thinking about this year. Go ahead, Kay Yang. And thank you, Shannon, and thank you, Laura from earlier. Leslie from earlier. We appreciate your donations and your support, and we do put it right back into our activism and into the events and actions that we plan. So we thank you so much for that. We appreciate it. Okay, go ahead, Kay Yang.
Yeah, thank you so much, Amy. Yeah, the hopefully this image is a little bit easier for you all to see. I know Alex Pinwheel said that the other one was a little blurry, so hopefully this works. Back in March, myself organized a protest at the United Nations headquarters in New York City. I had Amy Sousa. I was so fortunate to have her commit her time and energy to really be my right-hand woman to make sure that the event took place and actually happened. She was with me meeting pretty much every day, getting all the details sorted out, and we had just a phenomenal group of women who participated in the event with us that they all kind of got plugged in after all the details were coordinated. They were able to show up and really contribute from their specific perspectives around the work that they're doing. So some of those voices that we had Beth Stelzer, the founder of Save Women's Sports. We had Joy Gray from Red Fen Rebellion. We had Gina Hoke, who has this year, she has been blown up kind of. She has gotten a lot of attention for the act of resistance that she put up in Tacoma, an incredible display of self-defense and also quick reflexes when she was attacked by multiple trans rights activists out in Tacoma. She was with us at the United Nations. We also had Jenna DeQuarto from Women's Liberation Radio News. Thank you, Jenna. Jennifer Ziggin, who is a New York City lesbian. She was here at the protest with us. Isabella Malbin from Whose Body Is It? We also had Amy Crete, who I had just mentioned earlier. She's in the recent documentary Dead Name that just came out. Jennifer and Jeanette from Partners for Ethical Care, who I also mentioned. Who am I leaving out, Amy? Jessica Gonzalez from Turf Collective, of course. She was an MC for us. And of course, Kelly J. Keene was able to join us. She was already in town in New York City doing a panel presentation with Jennifer Law. So Beth was able to rope her into coming and joining us, which was amazing. She really helped to up the profile of this issue. And that was the whole point of doing the protest, right? Amy, can you make sure I didn't leave anybody out while I keep talking?
Yeah, I think you got everyone, and I apologize because I was looking for, I wanted to drop the link, which I did. I wanted to drop the link to the video, so people could get the video. So I wasn't 100% on it, listening to
That's
the
okay.
names that you were saying. But I think that everyone who participated in that does know how much we appreciated them and their support and their attendance and
Amanda
Stolman, amazing.
Yes. Oh my God. Thank you for speaking up, Amanda. Yes, Amanda was there on behalf of Keep Prison Single Sex. She, as always, was phenomenal. Thank you so much for speaking up. I'm like going off the top of my head here. So really the whole point of me bringing up the UN and the fact that all of those incredible women were there is to let you all know that the whole point of the protest was to raise awareness and raise the profile of this situation within our communities that are already existing, who are already talking about these issues, so that we can all start to come together and build a more collective awareness. Right. We need to, I really was at a point where I was feeling frustrated with, like, I feel like all we ever do is complain and like post pictures of crazy troons. And like, so, that stuff is important too. It's good to blow steam. It's good to have space for us to, be able to voice our thoughts uncensored. Sure. But we also need to be focusing and putting our sights on where this is coming from. We need to find acceptable targets that we can all unify against. And the United Nations really exemplifies that with the fact that they have their hands, not just do they have 193 member nation states, but they have their hands in the affairs of pretty much every country on this planet, right? This is a global agenda for control. And it goes far beyond the gender identity part, right? But that is, of course, what we're focusing on here. So I really hope that this year we can continue to up our own understandings and our own analysis and our literacy level on what is going on with the United Nations. So I'm inviting you to join me on January 7th, 10 a.m. EST. It's 3 p.m. UK time, and you can find out whatever time that is for wherever you are. But I will be doing a presentation to Women's Declaration International webinar. Thank you, Zan, for setting that up. And you're going to get all the information about what's going on so that you can become an expert on this issue too, right? Like I keep telling people, don't leave it up to just me to talk about the UN or Jennifer Billick to talk about the Arcus Foundation or the Pritzkers. We all need to become experts in these issues. Right.
Can I underline something that you and I spoke about privately? And you made this point, and I think it's a really good one to make. I do think that we all really need to remember that we are constantly ambassadors. So wherever we go, we are ambassadors. We need to take this work very seriously. We do need to do research. I think there's a nice little distinction. On the one hand, you don't have to be an expert to do this. All you have to do is know that men are different from women. Yes, that's true. However, it is very important for us to understand our lineage, know the roots of this issue, know the analysis. It is important to be able to have this in our back pocket so that we can be ambassadors on this issue wherever we go. All of the women who are here today, you listen to Rex speak, you listen to Kay Yang speak, you listen to Zane speak, and you hear how they are well versed on all of so many of the aspects of this issue. They're anywhere they go, they would not be uncomfortable speaking to this. So it really behooves all of us to read other people's work. Read those. If you don't know about a topic, go to that person as the source. This year, I realized I didn't know enough about surrogacy as I wanted to. Started really following Jennifer Lau, reading her work, seeing what she said about it. So if there is a part of this topic that you are unversed in, make 2023 the year that you learn more about it, because we need to come at this with seriousness. Oh my goodness. And thank you, Gay Chapman, so much. One, for your work, for After Ellen, for all of the protests and live events that you've been to this year, for standing up for lesbians. We appreciate you so much. Thank you. And thank you, Bookish, as well, for your sisterhood and for your support. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you all so much. If you can't make it on January 7th, as Zan put in the chat, it will be recorded and it will be put up on the WDI YouTube. And I'm going to not just talk about the UN 2030 goals, but I'm going to give a brief overview of the history of women's rights at the UN since their founding, and then all the way up to the obliteration of the legal distinctions between the sexes in 2019. And I'm going to use official documents from official documents and propaganda issued by the United Nations from their own websites and their own YouTube accounts to show you just how invested they are in proliferating this ideology across the world. So thank you to everyone who is here listening. We're going to be starting to wrap up, and I want to go to give a final thought from both Rex and Zan. And Rex, if you could, and I hope I don't mispronounce this, you can help me learn the pronunciation now. It is the organization that you are working with. Hold on, I have it here. Too many windows. Where am I?
Oh, Mana Wahine Korero.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
Mana Wahine
Corridor.
Korero.
Mana Wahine Korero.
All right.
Mana Wahine Korero.
All right.
And this is an Indigenous women led by and for Indigenous Maori women who are working together to resist the imposition of gender identity ideology in Aotearoa. Can you, Rex, could you speak just a little bit to the organization and your work with them? Anything that you want to say, as short or as long?
Well, thank you. I work alongside Mana Wahine Korero. I set up my own channel because I want to say things that are not part of their kaupapa. So I work alongside them now because I'm the turf jester. And I have no fucks left, and I'm not polite, I'm not kind, I'm not nice, I'm not any of that. And
you have a role here.
Yeah, and like I say, I'm the cow catcher at the front of the train. You can come by with your bandages and ointment and soothe all the hurt feelings of the filthy trannies that I've upset by just going, you will never be a woman. I can't get even remotely happy about anything the trannies want to do because it is anti-life. This is the opening of transhumanism, and what it is that commodification of the species. It is the last bastion of capitalism, which is why we need to resist. I saw a picture of a womb with a view. You know, they've got somewhere in Asia, there's these rooms full of wombs that they're working on to just pump babies out, so, you know, for people to molest.
Yeah, these baby factories, they're very common.
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, surrogacy is just child trafficking. I'd like to mention Nancy Mace because she handed Alejandra Cabaret, bloody tranny, the woolly-headed tranny with the big French body, who said that the justices, your Supreme Court justices, should be accosted. Did you see that? He went to a Supreme Court hearing on white supremacy, and Nancy Mace was the one of the MPs, politicians, and she said, "Do you find that rhetoric is dangerous and things?" And he went, "Yes." And then she got a blow up of one of his tweet that said, "The Supreme Court justices should never know a minute's peace. We should accost them in public." And she said, "Did you write that? And do you stand by your words?" And watching him go, "Oh, thank you for giving me a chance to explain because it's out of context." And she just went, "Yes or no." And, I think the wheels have come off because they went from no debate to us going, "Why the fuck not?"
Mm-hmm.
And any time spent with trannies, 5 minutes will let you know that it's a cult. 5 minutes of digging on the internet will let you know that the children are at harm and that they have weaponized puberty. That's one of the biggest things that really pisses me off. Puberty sucked for me, and it sucked for you all listening too, I bet. These unexpected bumps, these hormonal changes, these sudden floods and rushes of emotions and things that you have no idea that are so strong. And they have
it used to be
weaponized
standard. It used to
This
be
is
standard that
puberty.
everyone knew that puberty sucks.
And you are going to be a misunderstood teenager, and you're going to do that and write some shitty poetry and maybe drink a bit too much piss and lust after someone who doesn't even know you're alive. That's puberty.
Good summary.
Yeah, that's puberty. It fucking sucks. But you know what? It's not forever, and it's not a medical condition. So we need to inure our children to the fact that you're going to have a shitty time. And I wrote up on my Substack, my son had an exercise when he was 14 of puberty, and it's puberty blues. And he just wrote things like, my legs hurt, they're aching, and there's never enough food. I feel like I'm hungry all the time, and I don't want that person sitting next to me. Ooh, yuck, because someone's got a crush on him. But he wants to sit just that little bit closer next to that person because he's got a crush on them, but I won't say anything in case there's, and it's really beautiful. He was 14 and he gave me permission, and it's up for free on my Substack. I've only got one paid piece on my Substack, which is the fact that I was a trans widow. I left a tranny 20 years ago, well before this shit kicked off. So I know the depths of the depravity of which men will go to have their fix and to get their validation and their lady feels sorted.
Yes, Rex, thank you so much for speaking from your experience as a trans widow, as a mother, as a Maori woman. Thank you so much for sharing your unique perspective and your voice.
Thank you.
I love your energy, of course. It's so good to have you with us. Stay on the line. We're gonna switch over to give Zan some final words, whatever thoughts you want to give. While you're thinking of that, I'm gonna throw up on the screen. A lot of you women have recently on the last live stream I did with Amy, I put up a call out saying order stickers and I'll give you a free gift with it. Well, I'm still going to offer you a free gift, but I also have a 15% discount because I have invested in getting stickers. It is a little bit of an investment, so I want to make sure that I move some of these out. When you buy stickers, you're supporting my work, both of my websites and all of the different traveling that I do, which has been quite a lot this past year, and the materials that I make and produce and distribute freely. And I've been offering materials for over 5 years now on Instagram, on Twitter, on my 2 websites, on YouTube. So please, if you can support, this is the way to do it.
And
Chicana
ladies,
I got your stickers coming.
Every time I go into a women's bathroom, I put up, "This is the record of our descent." Every time I'm in a women's restroom, I put one up, and usually I put it right on the little trash can that they have for your period products, because I think that makes it just extra. It underscores the fact that we are women, at least in my mind.
And carry Tabasco if you have to use a public restroom to change your period products. Carry Tabasco and put Tabasco or Louisiana Ghost chili on your used products before you throw them, because trannies go into those bins and root around and take the period products home. They make tea or shove them up their ass or put them in their pants. So use Tabasco. Fuck you.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't believe that if you try to tell them that. It is so shocking and disturbing. I'm like, you think I would make something like that up?
There are Reddits full of it. There are Reddits full of these filthy skin-walking degenerates. I better be careful because I'm a big girl. They might hollow me out and wear me as a skin, because you could, and that's what they want to do. You know, you're just a Buffalo Bill porn sick motherfucker. I don't have to validate you.
Yep.
So, yeah, sorry.
Rex, she can't stop.
Well, I'll say something. I'll say something to the stickering, because I do stickering. That I live in, you know, in a big city and in the gay part of town, and I don't connect up. Otherwise, my political life is online, which is perfectly fine. But what I'm finding with the stickering is two things. First of all, I'm being targeted. I'm going out at night. I don't want to be identified. And I noticed, you know, I noticed that they get torn down pretty much immediately. So, because I put them outside. So what I'm doing now is I bought a big new roll of clear packing tape.
Yes.
And I'm putting them on poles, which I could just wrap.
I saw your post. Yeah.
So I did that. So I've done that. I did that once, and I walk a place where I walked by regularly, and I noticed that somebody tried to rip it off. So I said, you know what? I was so angry. I went home, got my more tape, and just wrapped it around. So this act was very engaging. It was so satisfying, because what I basically said was, fuck you. This sticker is, I'm going to keep buying tape and wrapping it on here, so this sticker stays up there as long as it can. And that's my strategy now. I am not putting stickers up, just putting them up. I'm putting them up very strategically and securing them so that they stay there. And it's really satisfying, and it's safe enough. I mean, you know, that's safe enough. So that's what I want to leave it with. One of my little, you know, my little non-compliance. Fuck you.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. We all have to find, you know, every way that we can, whenever we can. And Amy and I are going to be talking more about this idea of mass non-compliance and going over some of what that means, and inviting more women to speak about this topic in this coming year. I love these little stickering tips from you.
Yeah. And we keep saying that there's going to be a call-in, and we keep using up all of our time. We can't do it today because I'm going to have to go soon. But I do want to say, I do want to underscore, we so appreciate all of you here in the chat. Your participation makes these events really lively. You know, we are interacting with each other, but we are interacting with your conversation as well. So we appreciate your time. We appreciate you being here. And we are going to continue to do these live streams. We are going to continue to have important, serious conversations. We are going to continue to be irreverent and blow off steam. We are going to continue to cover the issues. And one of the things that we will do, and I promise, I think what we'll do is we'll do a show where we don't have guests, where we focus on the live call-ins, because I think what is really cool, I know some of you don't necessarily want your faces on here, but we love hearing your voices, and I think it's great to give women an opportunity to speak, to hear hear your voice resonate with others, to see other people's reactions to your thoughts. This is what builds community. And thank you, Matt Osborne, who is one of the great writers at the Substack The Distance. Matt was pivotal in covering the Let Julie swim event and helping to break that event. So I so appreciate him being here. Thank you, Matt. We don't get very many men in the lives in the chats, but
And Zan, I'll put my hand up, Zan, just to change that in your head around, because I used to get really pissed off when people would take the sticker away. Like immediately, I go into a store, sticker, and I come out and it's gone. But somebody pointed out to me that has only increased their interaction with it. You've triggered someone, you've upset them, they've even moved enough to rip it off, the job is done. So
okay, I'll accept that too, because I do them in stores and stuff. I'll do them other places. Okay,
I'm terrible. I put one on a tranny's jacket in a cafe last year.
Rex's sticker. She's moved on from buildings and stickering people now.
These stupid fuckers came into the cafe in netball skirts, motherfuckers, in the middle of summer. They were in 2 netball skirts, these middle-aged old panty sniffers. And we're sitting there having breakfast, and my big sister, Tua, kind of goes, "Oh, don't fucking sit there. Don't you come and sit next to us. Yuck, you're ruining my food." So they could hear that. They went and sat somewhere else. I went and stickered the toilet because it was International Toilet Day. Came out, and trans women and men, and most have a penis, the green one stuck to my finger. And I thought, thank you, goddess, it's a sign. So I walked past, pushed it on the back of his jacket on the back of the chair, pretending to look for the door. And that was that. And I thought, best case, he'll see it and go, "Ree," with his other tranny friend.
It was meant to be.
Even better case is he walks around being the billboard telling the truth. Well done, you. You're a fucking tranny.
I love it.
Better be careful. They're going to call this literal violence.
Literally violence. And last thing about the stickers too, I think it was VF555. Get a bingo counter, fill it with rice, water, sugar, and water, and put that over your stickers. They fuckers never going to come off.
Right, they won't come off.
Love it.
What is that? Rice water,
sugar, and water. Make a little mix. Put it in the bingo, counter thing, or like those glue sticks.
Love it.
Make up a mix, because that's what I'm going to do with my next lot of stickers. And thanks to the girls over in England, they sent me some, and I sent them all over to all my turfs. So they're all over New Zealand now.
Lots of great stickering tips today. If you're not in the US and you want me to send you some stickers, send me an email at thedeprogrammer@protonmail.com. I can set up an order, or I can just send you a couple of stickers. One more thing about that, Laura Kamiensky, I hope I'm saying your last name right. I want to shout you out as well, because I see you here in the chat. I recently sent Laura some stickers that she ordered, and I wrote into the little card to her, and it's been in my mind ever since she said this to me a few months ago, that she had a vision to get women at like a public demonstration, all doing a demonstration of women's self-defense, where we could all do a little move and practice saying like, "No means no." And that has just stuck in my mind. I want to see like hundreds of women in multiple, cities all around the world practicing our voices and our physical bodies and protecting ourselves. Rex has got the moves, and exercising our voices to say no means no. So thank you, Laura, for putting that in my mind. We're going to work on that for this year. And also, Iris let us know in the chat that Kiera Bell has, it looks, I can't find the comment now, but here it is. On GB, is that Great Britain News with Andrew Doyle? There's a new interview with Kiera Bell. And of course, we have to shout her out for all that she has done to propel this issue into international awareness and to take this to the courts. Thank you to Kiera and all the other detransitioners, especially our female females out there who are rediscovering and re-identifying with their female self and connecting with all of us women. So a shout out to all of them as well. And and April and Heather from Sovereign Women Speak, a shout out to you. And it looks like Heather's saying that April's going to be doing
she did.
Yeah, she held a self-defense class. So cool. More stuff like that. We love to see it. And, this year, I said 2023 is going to be the year of mass non-compliance. Yes. And also we need more pitchforks.
Yeah. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you to our lovely guests. Thank you to my amazing co-host, Kay Yang. We're going to sign out, everyone. Happy New Year. Enjoy your beautiful days.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Never surrender.